Hello and welcome to episode 64 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. My name's Davey and joining me as always is the fine wine himself, Philip Hoy.
Crispy critters, we're back again.
And my little poppet, Spencer Davis.
Hello, gang. How's it been? How's everyone been? Look at these smiles going on.
I know, it's a happy day. It's a happy day. We're recording on a Friday, and it's been one of those tough weeks. You know, guys, like one of those weeks where you literally finish and you thought, fucking thank God it's done. Thank God the grind is over. And I can chat PlayStation with the boys. And by extension, listeners, you're the boys as well. So I'm looking forward to diving into this with you.
Guys, listeners, today is my question.
Oh dear.
Which means we might have some fun and be slightly ashamed of ourselves. Are we ready?
No. 100% no.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Now, I've actually got two questions today because I've got one. The first one I thought of is absolutely rancid. So I'm going to ask you guys, and if you want to veto it, we'll just move to the other question.
Okay, all right.
Because it's not even funny, it's minging.
Go on then.
So it's a would you rather.
All right.
Ready? Would
Okay.
you rather? Gun to your head.
Okay.
You have to do one of them.
Death's not an option.
That's not an option.
Okay, standard rules then.
Yeah, standard rules. You have to do one. It's a concoction. You got to drink one of two things.
Okay, go on.
Your dad's spunk or your mum's
Right.
period.
Oh,
Oh,
that is rancid.
Rancid, I know.
That's rancid.
Rancid.
Just out of curiosity, though, what would you do? Quick one on this.
Dad's can.
Yeah, that's come immediately.
Yeah,
100%. Phil, you in agreement on that?
yeah, I drink Spencer's dad's cum.
yeah.
I'd drink anyone's cum rather than drinking blood.
Yeah, innit? That's
Rather than drinking period blood from your own mother.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot more of that than there is jizz.
Depends on her flow.
Yeah. And I suppose it depends on how heavy your dad is,
It
right?
depends how long it's been. Yeah.
Peter North style.
Yeah.
He got fucking guzzle that.
But Davey, you're a bit of a goth, weren't you, growing up?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like a bit of blood? You know? Have it all dripping down for your goth then, couldn't you?
What, do like a Gene Simmons from Kiss? Just have a bass guitar while I do it. No.
Can't convince you?
No, absolutely not. I think it's time to move it on to question 2. I don't think we
Yeah.
need to go any further with that.
Yeah. Question 2 is still not great, but it's better.
All right,
than
okay.
that.
All right,
So there's two women in front of you.
okay.
Gun to your head. You got to bang one of them.
Okay.
All right.
Right, the one is disgusting, ugly, ugliest woman you've ever seen in your life. I'm sure she's lovely, but she's ugly.
Okay.
But she would be the best shag you would ever receive. Ever. Hitherto undreamt of.
Okay. So new levels of ecstasy.
New levels. The other girl, dream girl, stunner. The fittest girl you could possibly ever imagine. She's shit. Absolutely dog shit sex. Hard for you to even get hard. Which one do you go for?
Hard for you to keep it up.
Yeah,
Tough choice, that one.
tough choice.
That takes a little
Do you
bit
go
of thinking.
for the view or the experience?
I think for me, right? Getting into the situation with the 10 out of 10 worldie, great times, right? But sometimes you want to look back on something, and even if you're kind of ashamed by it, you could be like, that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And if you get something that's like a toe curler, like you're fucking gripping on for life, like, ah! Like you don't even know what's going. You don't even know, like
Yeah.
you can't even fucking react. You're just like, that kind of shit. I'd go for that any damn day.
She's manhandling you, chucking you about the room.
It would have to be
and
something.
you're like, fuck me up.
Well, I wouldn't even know what I want to get that kind of level.
It's your balls, mate.
It would be something that she'd do that would just be like game changing, right? Your eyes are in the back. You're like the fucking Undertaker.
Yeah, like
That's-
me in that advert.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit I'd go for. That 100%. Something that I could then like finish, and you're like, you've been through an ordeal. You know, like when someone walks out like in an action film and they get in like a car crash and they walk out, they're like stumbling all over the place. Hair's fucked. Like their clothes are somehow like ripped and shit. Come out of that like you come out of a fucking Hulk transformation.
Yeah.
Just go out just like, oh god. That's what I'd go for, 100%.
That's fair enough.
The experience, mate.
Phil, mate, which would you go for, the site or the experience?
Well, when you first put this question out there, I was thinking, sure, I'd go for the experience because I've been in the situation with the 10 out of 10s and it being rubbish sex, and I've enjoyed it still because I look back and think, brilliant, I've banged a 10 out of 10 there. But going for the experience, I think it would change you if you got into bed with that ugly woman that you're talking about and it scarred you, but changed your kind of opinion of sexual pleasure for the future. And you'd always want to crave that then, and you'd be looking for that every time. So you'd end up finding yourself in a club then looking for those women.
Yeah.
Those disgusting women at the back of the club that are like,
The ones that would appreciate it, yeah.
hello, I'm looking for you kind of women, you know, the 5 a.m. girls. We've all kind of been there, right? But then you would go for those because that would be your plan, because you'd be like, they're all dirty as hell. So I think I'd stick with the 10 out of 10s and then just look back and enjoy the thought afterwards. It might be rubbish sex at the time, but you've got a lot of pleasure afterwards. I'm going for the after pleasure.
Oh, give me those crab people. Give me those people where they're walking and they're like walking like sideways, you know, they're like totally fucked up. They're barely human. That's the kind of stuff. If you get that, it's like a cyclops or something. And yeah, you get that and it just blows your mind. If anything, you could then teach future women. You'd be like, right, I know
what I want.
I know what I want.
Yeah.
I never knew what I wanted, but now I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Can you make the crab noise as you put your
Can you
finger
click
there?
your hands together? Yeah.
Just pretend you got claws, please.
Hello, Davey.
Those little mandible things going on. They go like that. It's like, oh! Why do I enjoy this? What would you do, Spence?
I think I'm on the side of Phil.
Oh,
because
okay.
the view, the 10 out of
Okay.
10 is so rare to bag a 10
It's
out
going to
of
be
10.
one of those episodes, is it, Spence?
It might be, mate.
Fist bump.
Yes, mate. Yes, mate.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Of course. It's so rare to bag a 10 out of 10. Well, for other people anyway. But it's a rare experience. And the thing is, the doggo, which is going to blow your mind, that's going to last like, 5 seconds, bro? It'll last not long. And granted, also, you're going to fall in love with her.
Yeah.
And then you're with a dog who, granted, will change your mind. But she's had you, mate. She's had you. She's not going to come back.
No. To her, it's just any other day.
She's going to be like, why are you screaming? You're like, ah!
To her, she gets that like every time.
Yeah.
So it's nothing, is it? She needs someone to do
Nothing.
that to her, and I cannot deliver that.
No.
I've never done that to a woman
No.
to make him that level.
I feel like you got to go for the 10 out of 10 just for longevity. You could keep going. And if you do go soft, just look at her, mate. She's a fucking worldie.
Yeah, but then what if you went from one to the other, right? You'd been with that, like, the crab woman, and then you went straight from that to the 10 out of 10.
And you were like, do
And
this.
the entire time you'd be like, oh, God. Crab woman.
The crab woman.
She had the,
Never got a name, so she's just the crab
she's
woman.
just the crab lady. Hello.
That's how she answers her phone. Hello, Davey! You're coming round again.
You fancy round two?
She's just ugly. I don't know why she speaks like this.
She's a crab lady now.
That's insane. I think solidly 10 out of 10. Because it'd fuck you up. Like Phil said, you'd be chasing that feeling forever. It'd actually ruin your life.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know what it feels like, though.
If you could choose to have it just before you die, then yes.
Yeah,
But
deathbed.
not at the age of 24, where all my life then I'd be like, she's not the same. It's not her.
You'd be taking your net to the club, picking up those
Those
5
crabs,
a.m.
bro.
crab women.
Yeah. The keeners, the appreciative ones.
Oh God. Well, Spence, you've done it again. Great, great questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, you've got a real talent.
Where's
for
he
this.
come up with these?
I don't know.
Where's he come up with them?
It's a twisted mind, didn't
Just
it?
lies in bed, thinking to himself, what would I rather drink? My dad's cum or my mum's juices? On a period.
Yeah, I don't know.
The first two are ones I'd been asked.
It's what he falls to
But
sleep
these
to.
ones I just came up with on the train earlier today.
Nice. Well, I don't know what that says about your brain and where it goes, but
So if you see Spencer on the train, you know what he's thinking about.
yeah, something absolutely filthy and disgusting. And it's a good thing why psychic powers don't exist. Otherwise, they'd be scarred for life, seeing the things that go on in there. But that's enough of that. Guys, We all like a tipple on this podcast. We like a nice beverage. What are you drinking today? Mr. Hoy, I'm going to start with you today. We're going to spice it up. What are you bringing to the table?
Oh, this podcast feels fresh for some reason. I don't know why. Spence is agreeing with me, and now I'm being asked first what I'm drinking. Well, Davey, I'm not going to disappoint you. I'm going for Brewdog 3 ways tonight. I'm going for the Punk IPA to start.
Okay.
Then I'm going for the Hazy Jane.
Oh.
And then to end the night, a Lost Lager. I'm keeping it relatively sober because I expect we're going out tomorrow night. So 3 lagers, or 3 beers, is what I'm on tonight, guys.
Nice. I respect them all, other than the middle one. That Hazy Jane is tragic.
The Hazy Jane.
I remember we've had that on a night out before, and I remember it being awful. That's the kind of thing that puts me off, like these lagers, you know, just that kind of taste that you're having some kind of dandelion concoction where they just chucked random bollocks in. It's just terrible. I mean, anytime you get something and you can't really see through it, it's hazy and it's not a cider, I just don't trust it. They could put anything in that.
You just don't like IPAs. I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it could well be, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a strong correlation between...
It's not down to the Hazy Jane. It's IPAs in general. You just dislike.
Yeah, it could be that. There's a strong correlation between IPA and my hatred. You know, they run in tandem. So, yeah, there could be something there. But fair enough, Phil. Enjoy them. I'm not going to take the piss. It's good to see you getting rid of them, to be honest, because at least I won't have to see them when I come round. So I appreciate what you're doing.
I need to get through them.
Yeah, you do. What about yourself, Spencer Davis?
I had to clear my throat the whole time. Well, mate, as everyone can see, I'm here again, back at your yard, and I pilfered your fridge, as I do.
Yep.
Yeah. You said help yourself.
Yeah, I
In
did.
all fairness.
I did.
So I have the Strongbow, a Spen Pie Classic, but then after, I didn't want to steal too much from you because I know what you prefer out of Strongbow and San Miguel.
Ooh.
So I thought, give you the 2, I get the 1, I got my cider, and there's another cider down there as well. I'll have that before I have a San Miguel because, trust me, look out for you
Oh, thank you.
with your own drinks.
I appreciate you getting rid of them, to be honest, as well. They've been in there for months. Yeah, I'm just on the San Miguel, guys. And I'm also on the last can I've got of Tropical Blast. And I just want to put something out there. This is more for the UK audience, so sorry, international, you might not know what we're on about. Can we just take a moment of silence to just remember Lilt? Can you believe that Lilt's gone? Like, what kind of a world do we live in?
Well, it still exists in it. It's just different name.
No, well, now it's a
shocked.
tango or Fanta flavour now.
Oh, the flavor's changed.
Well, it's not Lilt anymore. It's not Lilt. Now it's like Tango Tropical or whatever, or Fanta Tropical. I don't fucking care about that. I want a nice can of Lilt. I don't know what Lilt means, even. You know, what a weird name. But I just want to take just a moment just to remember Lilt. Remember those happy times you've had where you thought, do you know what I crave? A nice Lilt.
Yeah, I've said that a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And now it's going to be just a distant memory.
Davey, Lilt means the totally tropical taste. Everyone knows that. And it's turning into Fanta because it's a Coca-Cola product. But what might be an idea for you? I know you like to put some money aside for your future, right? Why don't you stock up on Lilt the same way I've been stocking up on Prime and then bang it on eBay in a couple of months? Maybe there's your money earner there. Because everyone would be like you going, remember drinking Lilt? It was different to this Fanta stuff that they keep putting out. And then they'd be craving this Lilt. They'd be craving it and you can rack up the prices. There we go. There's an idea for you.
Yeah, the only issue is I don't have the willpower there. Because as soon as I see a can of Lilt, it's getting drunk, you know? And I don't know how long...
You're cracking that can.
Yeah, I don't know how long these Tropical Blast Zeros from Aldi, I don't think they can really match up to a pure grade, 100% pure Lilt. So I just don't trust myself. If anything, I'll develop a problem. And then when Lilt's fully gone, I got nowhere to turn to.
Withdrawals.
And that's when you turn to crack. Yeah.
It's a hell of a jump.
It is,
But I can see it happening, yeah.
It's logical. Yeah. So that's it, guys. That's what we've been drinking today. Pour one out for Lilt, guys. Now let's move it over to what we've been playing.
This time on NPS We Trust, what have the boys been playing?
So, guys, it's been 2 weeks since the last podcast episode, and I'm desperate to know what you've been up to in that time. Mr. Hoy, as we started with you earlier, I'm coming straight on back to you, baby. what have you been playing?
This is turning out to be a very Phil-favoured episode, isn't it? Jesus, I get used to this. It's like I won't even mention that actually, because I would get fined if I even hinted towards anything to do with that subject. So let's move that on quickly before I slip up at this early point in the podcast. Well, guys, I've continued playing Atomic Heart. I'm around 10 hours now. I believe I'm just over halfway through the game. Just got to just completed the theatre and beaten the boss Natasha, for anyone who spent some time in Atomic Heart. Personal favourite so far for the game is the VDNH section of the game, which is very Portal-esque, and there's lots of puzzles and magnets and things that happen which you don't understand why they happen, but you find out a little later on in the game. So it's very interesting, that section. So particular highlight once you get there. I don't know if you got there just yet, Davey. I'm saying the game very, very unique. I've heard a lot of negative, I've heard a lot of positive on this game, and it's all down to the pacing. I don't feel like the combat of this game is your normal run-of-the-mill firing guns, spraying at enemies and just running through the content. No, it's more of an RPG with sort of FPS elements, at least in the early stage. Now towards the halfway mark, it's got much more FPS sort of heavy. If you're going to ask me for a rating, at the moment, I'm saying 8 out of 10.
Whoa,
because for me, a 7 is mid, and I say it's slightly better than mid. I'm not saying it's the 10 out of 10, which I hoped for, which I prayed for all those years ago when Potato Chief was on the podcast, and we were both praising how good the screenshots looked. But for me, 8 out of 10, really, really enjoying it. But I want to hear some negative, Davey, because I'm not sure if you've been enjoying this game one.
Yeah, so I'm about four-ish hours, I think. I haven't actually checked, but it actually feels like I've been playing it for all my life. It just, oh my god. The pacing is awful on this game. It is terrible. I've got a few issues with Atomic Heart. What I'll do is I'll start with the positive, I build it up, and then I'll smash it down. And I'm hoping, Phil, that you can chime in and just let me know if things improve from where I am. So just for context, for those that have played it, I am still in kind of the first main area, I guess. I've been doing like a lot of climbing and exploring and getting upgrades, and I think I'm just about to leave. There's a tree I've got to repair, and I'm on the final part of that. So I don't know how far in that is, but I've been certainly taking my time with it. Right. So in terms of the positives...
I thought that was the positive.
No. In terms of the positives, it looks pretty.
Stunning. Game stunning.
Stunning, I don't know. I say it looks pretty, but there's a lack of detail in a lot of things that you'd expect to happen in the environment. There's not really any interactivity with kind of anything. So it feels like very much like just kind of a just really pretty JPEG that you're walking through rather than it being like a proper living world.
Yeah, it's not on the Callisto Protocol level, is it?
No, nowhere near.
It's like a step down, but it is still on the pretty end.
Yeah, and especially the opening where you come in and you're taking that boat ride and you're seeing all the festivities that are happening. That is stunning. And I spent way too long in that area, walking around, chatting to everyone, just seeing the sights, really just soaking in the ambience. I loved it. The combat, I'm starting to enjoy it. I went for quite a long time where I think... that's negative. I went for quite a long time where I was just bashing stuff and I thought this is just kind of boring. And then as it's gone on, I've gotten more guns, I've gotten more abilities, I've really started leveling up my freeze power, and I've been using the shield, the like plasma shield thing, and I've been really enjoying those and getting some good interesting uses out of them. And that's slowly starting to show fruit. And I expect that as I go on, that will probably improve with, more abilities and more upgrades and kind of a bigger tree to kind of go alongside that. Unfortunately, that's kind of everything that I like about it, if I'm honest with you. The pacing, like you've alluded to, is god awful. It's horrendous.
Not my words.
I
said it was unique.
Oh, unique's one word. It is boring as fuck. And the worst thing about it is, right, the characters that you spend your time with are abhorrent. They are the worst things I've ever known. Like, I thought Forspoken was annoying. That is nothing on that fucking glove. That glove is the most annoying thing I've ever known in my life. And what makes it worse is, right, that the glove and the main character hate each other. So you're literally listening to these two people bitch about each other for hours.
Do you feel like you've picked up on the ending already?
Oh,
Even at that early stage?
Well,
Because I believe I did, and then I've got further into the game and it's just got worse and worse and worse.
I was hoping that they'd start to work together and like each other. It doesn't happen, does it?
No, they still hate each other at the moment, and they're both taking like digs all the time at each other. Yeah, the character interaction, we're not on that Horizon level. We're right down the bottom, we are, when it comes to sort of talking and interacting with different people. And you do it quite a lot. I believe there's a trophy which you're probably hunting at the moment to talk to all the dead people.
Oh, yeah, so annoying. So annoying.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. I just skip every single one of them. I'm honestly not interested.
I think this is what's making me actually find a little bit more enjoyment in it lately, is because I've started just skipping everything. I skip every single bit of dialogue I can. I skip literally everything. And I tell you what's also annoying, and it makes no goddamn sense. You go to a machine called Karen, who upgrades your stuff. It's like a sex robot thing.
It's like the Crushinator from Futurama.
It is, yeah.
Do you remember that? Or is it the suicide booth from Futurama, which basically tries to hit on you when you use it? I found it funny the first time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop. Every single time you go there, it's just having sexual digs at you. It's weird.
And what's also weird is that you go there when the story kind of expects you to go there, and she'll say something quite sexy. And then you go there any other time, and she's just mute, or it's just a normal machine voice. And you think, so they could have just done this normal. They could have done this normal. They thought, no, it's better having the sexy robot that just says, okay, sugar, I won't hurt you this time. Put the glove away. And he's like, shut up, machine, just upgrade my stuff. And I'm thinking, just why don't you shut the fuck up, bro? Why don't you just shut up? Just stop talking for a moment. And it just does not end. And the other thing that really pisses me off is that as soon as you kill robots, you think, I'll clear this area. I won't have to worry about it. Security camera, I'll shock security camera, destroy it. A fucking repair bot repairs it like immediately. It's like, what was the point?
I like that.
Oh.
I like that a lot because you've got to manage kind of the repair bots as well. So you take out all the kind of like cameras that are looking at you. You take out the various robots that are patrolling the area. And then, yes, they will come along and fix them. But you've got to find out where they are spawning to be able to take that out to then clear the area. That's how you survive, or you just run through it.
Yeah.
That's equally a good tactic, which I'm finding.
Yeah, I just do that.
Especially in the open world parts of the game.
I'm literally just, I kill stuff, get enough components, and then I move on. And speaking of components, there's too many. There is way too many subsections of item for seemingly no reason. And all it means is that you spend the majority of your time going into detective vision so you can look through walls, seeing where something blue shiny is, and then holding R1 to suck it all in. And then the worst thing about it is, when you suck it all in, it doesn't actually suck everything in. So you'll often suck it all in, and then you have to go back and do it again because it seemingly didn't do it. And then all you find is some random clock watch thing that gives you a story or a bit of nugget of information that you don't need and adds nothing, no interest to the overall world. It's so frustrating. And the thing is, I spent such a long period of time because I didn't want to. I think the reason why I'm 4 hours in and I've done fuck all is because I was reading every single bit of lore. I was going up to every single one of those terminals, reading the little notes, listening to every single clock thing. And it was driving me insane. And as soon as I stopped and just thought, fuck it. Fuck this story off. I don't care at all. I just want to shoot stuff and solve puzzles because they're both done quite well. The puzzles are great. I'm finding more enjoyment now. And that is such a bad thing to find enjoyment in disassociating yourself with what the game's trying to tell you.
The thing about it is, I don't believe you actually need any of that extra story. The cutscenes tell you enough. So in important parts of the game, when you're transitioning between sections, generally there's a cutscene. I don't think you've got 5 far enough into the game to be able to see one of these just yet. Have you met the grandma?
Yeah, so that's right at the
Is
beginning.
that too far? So you have met her.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll get cutscenes like you had with her throughout the game, and that does enough to tell you the overall story. I don't know all the minutiae in the story because I'm much like you. I made that choice early doors to just start skipping the stuff because there's too much of it, and I just wanted to get through and explore the game, and I'm having much more fun doing it that way. I think there's too much. This isn't a Resident Evil game. You don't need to go through every file and every kind of item and read every kind of detail to understand what's going on. The story is good enough.
Oh, well, that's good to know. So it might well be a case that in future, as I continue playing, that I might end up enjoying it more with this new approach. It could be that the way I played it has kind of hampered my experience so far, and I fully take that on board. It's the thing for me is I just wish there was an option just to silence them, just to make him a silent protagonist. If I had that as an option, and the glove, oh my god, the glove. If I could somehow turn them both off, I think I'd really be enjoying myself. But I found that, especially playing it, and I did like a 4-hour stint, played it all at one time, I was getting angry. Like physically angry as I was playing. I was like, just shut up. And I don't think I've ever had that. Even playing like the Forspoken demo for like an hour, I didn't find it grating. I found this grating.
Normally when you play games and the protagonist is silent, take Half-Life, everyone's like, oh, I'd love to hear his voice. I'd love to understand what he's thinking. In this game, you're like, no, I want it the other way around. I don't want him saying anything, and the game would be better because of it.
Yeah, it really would. It really would. So do you think, because I've heard from different things that I've seen, from like different trailers and stuff, I've seen that you're driving cars and there's all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
Knowing where I am now, fixing this tree, would you say the experience just improves from this point onwards?
Oh, 100%. I don't think you've got to any like notable bosses yet in the game. So as soon as you start that sort of combat, that's interesting. And you definitely need enough ammo to be able to take out these monsters. So you want to be going in fully stocked. So back to your Resident Evil days, you want to collect everything and save that for those boss encounters. And as I said earlier, the VDNH section of it, which is the Portal S part with the magnets where things either grip to the ceiling or fall to the floor, that section is really, really stand out. So there's a lot more to the game, but yes, just ignore the story or ignore the extra story, and yeah, just forget about what he has to say to the glove, because I think he just gives away the story too early.
Okay.
I kind of predicted what was going to happen, and it's happening.
Okay. All right.
But we can talk about that in the future.
Yeah, I think I got a good idea what's going on, and what it's trying to mislead me with, which it seems so painfully obvious on the nose. But
yeah, it's obvious. It's obvious what they're trying to do. It really is.
But
yeah,
I mean,
it's quite dumb.
I got to give some credit though for their first outing. It's very impressive in terms of it, having this kind of visual fidelity and these gameplay things. And I'm hope that for a studio, I hope the game does well and they get a chance to be able to really focus on what this game does well and drop the stuff that it doesn't. And kind of just, instead of trying to be a master of all these different things, right? So instead of being like, right, well, we'll take a little bit of Fallout, we'll take a little bit of BioShock, we'll take a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of BioShock.
Yeah, a lot of BioShock.
a lot of BioShock. It's basically BioShock.
It is, yeah. It's basically shit BioShock. And instead of doing that, if they just focused it and said, right, well, let's just tighten the experience up and just really do what we do well and just get it perfect, I think that they could really nail this on the second one. But I got a long road to go. And I've been playing a lot of games these last 2 weeks. So that's probably why I haven't got further. So by the next episode, I may have completed it, or I'll at least be slightly further than I am right now. That's for damn sure. So I'll look forward to going through that then.
So Spence, going off what we've just been discussing, has Atomic Heart piqued your interest at all? I know you were saying that it did look good, but you don't have enough time. Is that still the case after my glowing review and Davey's, I suppose, less than glowing review?
It is very much still the case. I still have zero interest in Atomic Heart, and Davey was actually kind enough to screen share to me Atomic Heart. And usually he's like, oh, have a look at this, mate. Have a look at this. Watch what I'm doing here. Atomic Heart, he's like, you can watch if you want. So you don't have to.
I was like, wait till this fucking glove starts.
Like, well, yeah, wait till I watch me clear this room. There's fucking more in there. It didn't clear all of it. Fucking outrageous. just fuming, just venting at me about the game he was playing. I was like, well, fucking.
I was done by that point, mate. I was done.
One way to stop me buying it.
Just like you did with Metal Gear Solid, Spence, I think make up your own mind with it. Don't be too clouded with what Davey's saying, because this game is Marmite. Some people hate it, some people love it. Davey's on one side, I'm on the other at the moment. You might fall somewhere in the middle, but I would say play it for yourself. Give it a couple of hours at least.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean, I'm still strapped for time at the minute, but if I do find the time, I probably would be quite keen to jump into it. But yeah, I'm not expecting greatness as it stands.
Yeah, I think it's good to have like set expectations, and you can see how different it could be. Like an 8 out of 10. If I had to give this a rating right now, and granted it's very early, what's this game about? Like 20 hours in length, something like that. I think.
Yeah, I think we said 15, 20 to like fully complete it, collect everything.
Yeah, so if I'm like, I don't know, even if I'm at the point where I should be hearing about like at 2 hour mark, to be like a 10th of the way through is very, very early doors. But right now I'd give it a solid 6. A 6 out of 10, might even be a 5. I'm really not enjoying it at all. Overall, I'm finding it such a slog, but hoping that the green shoots I see, like you said, Phil, they blossom into a forest that I can walk through and enjoy.
So if we average that out, it's a mid game, everybody. 7 out of 10. Play in PSV Trust official rating for the time being.
For the time being. So
it's mid.
Anything else you've been playing, Phil?
Yeah, I've been playing a couple of other little things. Just to mention, I've been playing Street Fighter Duel because, of course, we are mad on Street Fighter 6 on this podcast, so any excuse to play anything Street Fighter, I'm diving in. So this is just an iPad mobile game. I do like to represent the mobile gamer a little bit. Brought to you by Crunchyroll, actually, as their developer or publisher, I believe. And I've started my own guild if you do decide to jump into the game. It's called at InPS We Trust, so seek me out. I might allow you into my guild. But yeah, it's just an auto battler and it's fun to pass the time before Street Fighter 6. I've also been playing a little bit of Strider. Ooh. On my Steam Deck, which I know is a game you've played. I think it originally came out on the PlayStation back in 2014, if my Wikipedia Googling is correct. It's a Metroidvania-style game, as you well know from Capcom, and it's just passing the time when I'm on the train to Cardiff in the mornings, because I've been going in a little bit to work, and people have been seeing me smashing the keys as I've been trying to take out all those enemies. It's a brilliant game so far.
Oh, I gotta say, Strider is a game that I remember I got it free on PS Plus years and years ago. And I thought, oh, do you know what? I'll boot it up. I love a Metroidvania. And I was just hooked. I think I dropped everything I was playing, and that was it. I got the platinum on it. I adored that game. Nice, and so nice. I've been praying that they're going to bring this series back. Strider obviously is a really old series. Been going for a long, long time. And then kind of had a relaunch with the version that came on to PlayStation 4. And it's just one of those games that's very stylish. It's just like Fist or any of these other games, where it's just a fantastic gameplay experience. And that's all you need sometimes. And for me, I fell in love with it. I thought it was brilliant.
And the best thing about it is you can climb the walls from frame 1.
Yeah.
Like straight away, you can climb walls. Normally in Metroidvania, the walls are just a little bit higher that you can't jump up to the next bit you really want to get. And it's so damn frustrating. But in this game, he climbs up, he's got his little sickle, and he just climbs up the wall. I was like, oh my God, they've given me the end game mechanic straight away. What a game. So yeah, I am in love with it at the moment. It's brilliant.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Have you ever played Strider, Spence?
I played Strider. I played not since the PS4 re-release they did, because I know they kind of relaunched the series.
That's the only one they've had, I think. Since then, I don't think they've done it since the PS4. Yeah,
so I think I got that free on PS Plus as well back in day, but I think I played before then, because I think I first played it because I saw him in Marvel, and I was,
of course he's in Marvel, isn't he?
And I was like, who's Strider? And I looked up the games and I was like, that looks fucking sick. And I played him, but I was young. It was a while ago. I can't honestly. All I remember was that it was fun.
Yeah, great game. Really, really enjoyable platinum as well. For anyone out there that is thinking about getting a nice platinum and having a good gameplay experience, I'll put it on the same level in terms of gameplay as So some of the games that we've been playing lately, like Super Stardust or any of the Housemarque games, really, it's just really fun. And that's what you need sometimes for a game. And of course, Mr. Hoy, we've been playing a little bit of Call of Duty. Now, I know we always mention Call of Duty.
We have.
But we've been playing two certain things in particular. I want to know your thoughts on them.
Well, I'm glad to have friends like you guys, because we managed to finish the first raid. It's down to you two having the skills to be able to drag me through, because I must have died at the end point like 4 or 5 times. And for whatever reason, I don't know how we did it, you guys survived and you kept resuscitating me and we got through and we completed the raid. But that is really, really cool. It's such an interesting kind of dynamic within Call of Duty, and it's a great experience. Like, if anyone that has COD at the moment hasn't played those raids, you want to go out, find 2 friends and dive in, because it's a spectacular experience. It really is. It blew me away. It's worth my money just playing that.
And the good thing is, Season 2 Reloaded comes out next week, and so we get the launch of a second raid. So it means next Thursday, boys, we're good. We got a brand new raid to play. So it's going to be great. Now, the other mode that we were playing is a game mode that me and Spence had played the week before when it first launched, which is Infection. What do you think about that?
I'm glad I got the right name for it in the doc, because I wasn't sure when I wrote it in, because we only had a couple of rounds of it. But I haven't been that scared in a game that isn't a survival horror for a very, very long time, because I'm pretty grey, and I think I got greyer playing that game. It is stressful. Honestly, I'm quite glad we moved on to the raids, because, yeah, my brain was all over the place. You're looking one way, you're looking the other way. You're like, watch out for that door, and they come towards you and they've just knifed you, and then you're on their side. Oh, such a stress, mate.
I just love how that game mode starts, where you're very much in control. You got every exit locked down, and then all it takes is just one to go.
Yeah.
And as soon as one's gone, the avalanche has begun. And it's just quelling the inevitable. And we've played, Christ, I don't know how many raids of Infection we've played.
Oh, fucking loads.
And I've never seen survivors win.
No.
Literally not even been close.
No. We've been close one time. But then they get one person, and you need to hope the person they get is shit.
Yeah.
Because if they're not, then you watch the numbers slowly rise. And it goes from any zombie movie you ever watched, they always have like one zombie. And that's introducing you to the zombie. By the end of the movie, there's fucking hundreds of them. And they're chasing them down a train or something, and you're just like, fuck!
The worst thing about it is, you're not only watching kind of exit A and entrance B, right? You're also watching the little clock that's on the, I believe, the left-hand side of the screen, because that's counting down. So if you manage to get that down to 0, I believe the kind of people who aren't infected win the map, right? So you get down to like 30 seconds, you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then you just see this knife fling through, and then the next person's infected, and that boosts back up. And then you have to go through that whole ordeal all again. Crazy game. Crazy game mode.
So much fun.
It's sick.
So much fun. And I gotta say, I know that we go on about it so much, but I've just been loving this. This is the first time, I think, with additive COD content that I've been really on board for it. Like, normally by this point, like, you think about years gone by, it'd be uninstalled and it'd be gone. We'd have earned the platinum, that would have been it for the year. Whereas now, knowing that we got the other raid coming next week, we got like gun game and all these different modes that are coming, one in the chamber coming next week, it just gives more reason to go back to it. And new maps. We've got a brand new map launching next week as well. So it's a great time. I know that people shit on it, but I'm glad that we put it in our Game of the Year discussion for last year, because it's been a hell of a game.
I don't think there's a different game series that gives you as much bang for your buck.
No,
honestly, Call of Duty is so worth the money, because most people as well, the majority of players of the game only play multiplayer, whereas we're doing the raids, we're doing all the alternative modes, we play the campaign, co-op, we do everything in the game. We are getting our money's worth. I'm not sure how many hours we have in COD, but it's gonna be
days.
It's
days.
Yeah. And it's worth it. It's worth it. And are we going to buy the next one? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Probably buy the next fucking 10.
Yeah. They got us. We're sucking in. We're sucking in. Unless the Xbox deal goes through. And then...
I hope it does.
And then we've always hated COD.
Yeah. Shit game.
It's in the bin then at that point. So, anything else for yourself, Mr. Hoyer? Shall I move over to little Poppet himself? I don't know why I'm calling you Poppet lately. I quite like it, though.
I don't. Fuck you.
The mutt.
No, I think we should let the mutt have a go.
All right.
Fucking hell.
He's dribbling over there. He's ready. I see the rabies kicking in. I'm ready to talk about games.
I've been playing like 2 things.
All right, okay.
I've not been playing too much. I've not had a lot of time. I've had a lot of shit going on in life. It's been busy days. But my backlog's huge, right? Last of Us, still haven't finished it. Last of Us, my favorite game of all time, still haven't finished it. Part 1, I haven't finished it. Stray, still haven't platinumed. There's however countless games I started, still not finished. What game am I playing at the minute? Fucking Returnal. Why the fuck am I playing Returnal right now? There's no reason for me to be playing it. Other than the platinum. Which I'm fucking miles away from.
Oh,
fucking
no.
miles.
Oh, no.
Absolutely miles away from. I think I'm 2 glyphs closer to the platinum. So in World 2 Crimson Waste, I have 1 glyph left.
Oh, the elusive one.
I've done like 7 runs since you last saw me play. No.
Welcome to 70 more.
I've got 2 days game time in this. And I'm fucking... That's that. And then I've got 2 in the next world, 5 in the next world.
Oh, God.
And 10 in the world after.
Oh, my Lord.
Which...
Ouch.
Obviously, the game's split into 2 in Returnal. You have worlds 1, 2, and 3. And then worlds 4, 5, and 6 are kind of repeats, but not. Because you can choose to start from world 4. And that's the way it works. I'm going to finish worlds 1, 2, and 3. And then once I've done those, I'll move on to 4, 5, and 6. Which I feel makes sense, but at the same time doesn't. But the game resets when you beat world 3 anyway.
Well, I think you're a bit of a madman. Because for me, if you remember my story with this, my tragic tale about 20 episodes ago, when I was grinding for this platinum and eventually did get it, World 2, that last one, is the one that took me like 10, 15 hours on its
That's why I
own.
want to get it out the way.
Oh, see,
So
for me,
as soon as it's done, smooth sailing.
I guess, yeah. But for me, it was like the only thing that kept me going was knowing that it was just this one and it's the platinum. You know? Like everything else was done. Whereas you might spend 15 hours, get that one and then think, do you know what? Fuck this game. And you've done the hard work, you know? Rather than you could spend that time, get all the other worlds done pretty quick, and there's just that one.
But that's the thing. I'm making 0 progress. I'm 2 days into this game. I'm not going to say fuck this game because it's an excellent fucking game.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's endlessly fun. And I've been playing it in my pass-through mode on my VR. I'm led in bed looking at the sky, just playing Returnal. It's fucking sick.
Talking about beautiful games, and we mentioned Callisto Protocol earlier when we were talking about Atomic Heart. Now Returnal is next level as well. Spence, I think you screen shared before we went into the COD raids. And my God, I was blown away because I didn't really play much of Returnal sort of back in the day when we first got the game because I didn't really gel with it. It didn't really speak to me as much as it did for you guys. But it's a beautiful game. It's stunning. It's a work of art. It really is.
Yeah, it's the way that they kind of...
It's pampered, it is. Because it's a pretty game. But then it pampers itself with the effects.
Yeah.
The effects is what blows it to separate proportions. All the effects are so beautiful, and the rest is like the game's not in 4K. The game doesn't run in 4K, but it looks like it does because those effects. You're too distracted looking at the gunfire and the enemies and all the shit they do, and you're just like, "Fuck, it's sick."
For me, the wow moments in that game are always when you're in a boss fight, and there's shit going on. There's a torrent of just balls flying at you. And how you duck and weave around that, and the enemies themselves using your sword, and just the art of combat in that game is just perfection. What a superb game!
Yeah,
what a superb game. Great use of your time. Not gonna lie, I think you could get new experiences, but then imagine the feeling. My pop off when I had that, I'm surprised there's anything left of anywhere because it was wild when I got it. Straight on Twitter. Straight everywhere, finally done it, finally achieved it. It feels great. I think, why the hell not? Go for it. Enjoy yourself.
Not to try and put Spencer off going for the platinum, but would you say that's one of the hardest platinums you've achieved?
It's one of the hardest in...
Definitely on PS5, I assume.
It's one of the hardest in terms of mental fortitude.
yeah. It's not hard. It's long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those ones that... It's kind of like an endurance platinum. You know, you got some which are skill platinums, like a Wolfenstein 2, where you've just got to be godlike. You know, there's no excuse. If you get that, you got a fucking big dick. Returnal is the one that's like, I can endure the pain.
Yeah.
You know, I could get locked up in a prisoner of war camp and I could take it and I wouldn't say a goddamn thing because I played Returnal.
So one's you've got a big dick. The other one is you like your dick stood on.
Yeah.
Because you like the pain. You like the pain of it.
Yeah, you like the feeling when it stops being stood on. But to do that, you've got to have it stood on first. So it's kind of that way around, you know?
There we go.
You know?
Yeah.
That crab woman, she's
I was
back.
about to say,
It's,
yeah.
it's things I didn't even know I liked. But it is a good feeling. It probably will feel like your Last of Us Platinum PS3 when you finally got that multiplayer done, you know, and it's like a relief. It would be
Yeah.
like that, I imagine.
That was very much a relief. But I actually enjoyed it towards the end. The only thing is, my only issue with this Returnal thing I've suddenly started doing for no fucking reason is that I haven't finished all those games. I haven't finished Callisto. I haven't finished Dead Space. The amount of time I've put into Returnal, I could have finished at least. I could have platinumed Stray and probably Last of Us.
You could have probably platinumed all of them.
Yeah.
2 days, 48 hours.
Yeah.
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 You could platinum Callisto in like 11 hours.
Fucking ball ache, innit?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. It's probably close to 3 days now as well. But it's fine. I'm enjoying it. I'm probably going to keep doing it. It's just kind of at the minute when I'm not sure what I want to do and so no one's online, just build Returnal and just do some runs. And it's really quick now. I can finish like all 3 worlds in probably like 20 minutes because you just fucking zip straight through with that tech. It's nice. I'll get it done, but I can't promise anytime soon
No.
because it's not up to me. It's up to fate.
Yeah, it's up to the gods. It's up to the RNG lords. Well, before we move on to the PSVR2 discussion, there's a couple of games that I want to just give a little bit of a shout out to. First one, Scars Above. So I was lucky enough to see this game get shown back in August of last year, and it tweaked my interest. I thought, ooh, do you know what this looks like? It looks like Returnal. So I thought, I'm definitely interested in this. I've been keeping an eye on it. And then the devs tweeted out saying, look, if anyone wants to review this, just let us know, submit an application, and you can get free code. So, okay, yeah, I thought, fuck it. I might not have time to review it, but why the hell not? I'll give it a shot. Put it in. So I got the code, and normally when you get a chance to do a review, you get about a week in advance before it comes out. So you get enough time to be able to get a review out the door and it to be live in time for the time it launches.
The embargo.
Their embargo was a day after I got the code. So I had a day. So obviously I didn't hit that embargo. My review's still not out. So I thought I'd give you my kind of impressions on this. So Scars Above is a game done by Madhead Games, who I've never heard about before, but they've mostly done things in like the PC space. And essentially what it is AA gaming returning. So do you remember on the PS3 generation, PS2 generation in particular, there used to be different kind of subset of games. You had your AAAs, obviously the big dongers, you know, like your Metal Gear Solid 2s and PS2 generation. You had, well, indies didn't really exist. So it was really AAAs and AAs back then. And AAs were your games like Psyops or Shaolin Monk's Mortal Kombat game. And, you know, all these like kind of fucking
Spin-offs.
Destroy All Humans, stuff like that. Like these little games that they were fun, they were charming, but they certainly weren't up there with the big boys. You know, they weren't putting out...
They just didn't have the budget, did
No,
they?
never had the budget.
No.
And then in PS3, we still had them because Midway was still around. So Midway was still publishing things. We had, we had all these kind of random games. Even Capcom were playing in the space. We had a couple of Resident Evils, like the Revelation series, that were like AA games. And then you hit PS4, indies just fucking hit their stride and they just get really going. And AA seems to fall away because you had THQ die off, you had Midway go, who got bought out by Warner Brothers. And there was just this vacuum where there's not been that space. You've always just had AAA or indie, and that's pretty much where it's been. And sure, a lot of indie studios they've kind of grown up and they've been able to self-fund and they've gotten really big and they're big players like Team Cherry for Hollow Knight or, you know, anything like that. Well, AA is back with Scars Above. Because what it is, it's a game which is about 8 hours, 9 hours in length, and it's a fusion between Returnal, Dark Souls, and kind of just a linear third-person shooter.
Sounds like the type of game I would love. Sell it to me, Davey.
Yeah, so I think you would enjoy this because it's actually not that hard. So it's not like Dark Souls in the way that it's actually that crushingly difficult. It's really not. The thing that makes it interesting, right? The story in general is really good, and there's no ambiguity. It's not like Returnal, where you don't have a fucking clue what just happened, what you've gone through. This is very much a case of you know by the end everything that's happened. And you know where it's led to, what's caused it, kind of everything. The story in a nutshell is this object appears in Earth's orbit, and it finally answers the question, are we alone? It's this giant triangle thing. They call the metahedron. And so they have a team of scientists, which are called SCARs, scientific something or other, I can't remember what it stands for now. And they go off to make contact with this thing.
They go above.
They go above the Earth, SCARs above. And what happens is they get sucked into this triangle, and they're just on this world. And on this world, people are mutating, they're changing, they're turning into these creatures, all these like absolutely eldritch creatures just want to kill you. And you fight them. And if you see a pillar, you rest at that, it respawns everyone. And so you work through the area, unlock rooms and unlock shortcuts to be able to get back there. But it's extremely linear, and it's all based around the weapons that you use in conjunction with each other. So you might have lava, use an ice gun to be able to freeze that to walk along that. To then, if an enemy's in water, you use your lightning gun. You shoot lightning, it does combo damage.
Yeah.
If you then freeze that enemy and then shoot it with lightning, you get a combo multiplier that links into it. So it's kind of got that kind of gameplay loop of how you use your weapons. And the bosses are all kind of puzzles in the way that you fight them, because there'll be a certain way to kill them. So one might be like a giant, a giant like robot, and it seems invulnerable to damage, but it's walking on water. So if you freeze the water, it would then its legs get stuck, and as it pulls that legs, it exposes a weak spot for then you to shoot it. But you got to kind of figure that out, and that's where the fun is. But over the case of 9 or 10 hours, I couldn't put it down. I really couldn't put it down. I ended up getting the platinum on this. It was a 1 playthrough run for a platty. Really simple platinum, to be honest with you. And the difficulty wasn't quite there on medium. I think I would have started it on hard. But guys, check this one out.
I've got a quick question for you, Davey. And it's a bit of a trivia question, actually.
Go on.
So you said SCARS was an acronym.
Yeah.
Do you know any other SCARS-based acronym games? Because I knew one straight away and I started Googling it. That's why I switched off my mic when you were talking away. But it was on the N64 back in the day. Do you remember a game called SCARS? And can you remember what the acronym stood for?
No, I can't. No, I don't think I've heard of it.
Okay, so it was a racing game where you were animals, okay, or animal-based cars.
Right.
And the acronym SCARS was Supercomputer Animal Racing Simulator.
Oh.
So it's been done before using SCARS as an acronym. And that game, I don't think it's anything linked to what you're talking about, but I thought I'd drop in that nugget of information.
Oh, well, fair enough. I appreciate that.
There it is.
I've never heard that.
No problem.
Any of you guys interested in checking out Scars Above? Does what I've been describing, does it appeal to any of you guys at all?
I mean, I'm literally playing Returnal now. If it's like Returnal. And, well, yeah. B-Tech Returnal.
Yeah.
And I love Souls. And it's a third person, I suppose. Sure.
Yeah, third person shooter.
I mean, what? Last of Us, Uncharted? One of those? I mean, if it's all three of those AAA phenomenal experiences on the PlayStation.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No, none of those.
It's not any of those.
I think it'd definitely be a game that I'd enjoy, especially if the story's good, the combat's good.
Yeah, story is
And
good.
I like the way it works, and I love this Dark Souls thing of sitting and resetting the world and having to prepare yourself, knowing what's ahead and getting further and further each time. I'm sure it won't be the same. It'll be easier because Dark Souls is a different beast. But it sounds like something I'd very much have fun with.
Yeah, I think if you wanted that kind of experience, now knowing what I know and playing it through, I think I should have started it on hard. I think medium was too easy. I died on the first 2 bosses, but outside of that, never died in the open world, in the actual gameplay world. Never had a reason to go back to a pillar to respawn enemies. Just never had that reason, and so that kind of defeated that whole gameplay element to it of worrying about moving forward. But I think anyone out there, this is an easy 8 out of 10 for me. I couldn't put it down, and I did it 2 play sessions, and I just did not stop. And sure, I was ill with COVID, so I had time on my side, but I could have played anything. And I was like, no, do you know what? I love this. I really enjoy it. And it's just one of those things where you're not going to get the same experience that you would from a AAA. But there's a place for this. And I'm glad that they're back. I hope this is the start of AA gaming coming back, because there's a lot of joy, Some of my favorite games on PS2 were double A's. And so I can't. I'm really excited I hope this does well, because it's really a fun experience, guys. It really is. But apart from that, the last game I want to talk about before we dive into VR, Dead Space Remake. I finally completed it. It's been sitting there. I've been juggling a lot of different experiences, a lot of different reviews, but I finally just put the time in and played it through. It took me about 11, 12 hours. It's phenomenal. It's literally the best remake since Resident Evil Remake. 100%. It might even be better than that.
Wow.
Honestly, I think it might be the best remake ever made. It's phenomenal. It improves on the original in literally every single way. I've got literally no flaws with it. Not one. It's a near perfect experience, if not a perfect experience.
You saying that it's better than the original in every single way.
Yeah.
Me entering Dead Space for the first time, because I've never actually played any Dead Space games. I know Shock Horror. I did buy them a while back with the idea that I would play them, but again, my backlog's too big to even mention, so we'll move on quickly. Would you say that I now start with Dead Space Remake and then go to 3, or would you go for the original first and then work my way up and end with the remake?
No, I think you start with Remake. I really do. Coming in here,
Wow.
There's no reason to play the original. The only good thing about going back to the original is nostalgia now. At this point, there is no reason. There's whole other plots that have been added, whole other stories, a shed load more lore, and the original was already chocked full of lore. This gives even more, and it's got the gameplay improvements from Dead Space 2 and 3 that they included in here, which means that they can then re-envision environments to have more verticality and to have more scale, which the original didn't have. And it gives a reason for exploration, which the original just had no reason to explore. It was quite a linear experience, the first one. Now, you've got a reason to go back to other areas, and they're all interconnected, and it feels like a fully realized ship. No reason to go back, mate.
But do you think you feel that way because you had that experience of Dead Space 1? For me, if I jump straight into Remake, I'm just going to think this is the standard. And then when I get to 2 and 3, it might be a little less, I assume.
Arguable. It's hard. Dead Space 2 is better than Dead Space 1.
Yeah.
I can't speak on if it's better than the remake, because I'm yet to finish it. But Dead Space 2 is one of the closest games I've ever played to a perfect game.
Yeah.
It's stellar. I won't comment on Dead Space 3, because it's not. But Dead Space 2 specifically is fucking phenomenal. So I think even if you go from Remake back to Dead Space 2, you wouldn't be doing yourself an injustice. I think you'd go back into it, and sure, graphically it's a lot worse, but those games hold up. It's like Last of Us getting a remake. It doesn't need it. Really didn't, but they did it anyway, and they fucking smashed it. So if you go back to Dead Space 2, you're still going to be like, why'd they even do the remake? This is sick.
I mean, it's dark anyway at those ships, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to put ray tracing in the dark, are they? So who cares about the graphics?
I think that going from Dead Space 1, even the remake, to Dead Space 2, there's quite a huge tonal shift in terms of the two. And they've stayed very true to the tone of the original. And that's why it's so successful. Is that scale-wise and graphic-wise and everything, it's all a lot bigger. But the experience compared to Dead Space 2 is still a lot more claustrophobic. Dead Space 2 is grander. It's like bigger, it's bombastic, it's throwing action at you. It's really walking that tightrope between action and horror, the best I've ever seen it, to be honest. It just does it perfectly, where it's still frightening, but it's really shit's happening. And, you know, you're going from explosion to explosion, you're flying through space, there's like really like big, intense, Uncharted level kind of moments that happen in Dead Space 2. You don't have that in DS1. DS1 is a lot more kind of, just a lot more subdued in that way. And so I think even going from Remake to 2, you still appreciate what 2 does, because it still raises enough. And fortunately what they do is they haven't brought back all the enemies from 2 into this one. They haven't retroactively fitted them in. So you've got one enemy that returns from 2 that wasn't in the original. It's like a spitter necromorph. But that's it. They've kept the rest of it all very true. And I highly recommend it. For me, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece. It's going to go down as the de facto remake. Much better remake than Resident Evil 2 and 3. Hands down, way more faithful and better. It's up there in the conversation with Resident Evil Remake. It's that damn impressive. Literally, top 2. Those are the top 2 remakes ever made, in my opinion, because they're just better than the original. And that's what you need from a remake, in my opinion. It's phenomenal. 10 out of 10 chef's kiss. It would take something immaculate to beat that for Game of the Year. I don't know what can. It's going to take something truly revolutionary. But we'll see. And I suppose to end this section, and it's been quite a long what we've been playing, guys. It turns out that, having COVID, we get to play, well, I get to play quite a lot of games, and I probably should have been putting YouTube content out. I just haven't been. So that brings us round to PSVR2. Last time on the show, myself and you, Spencer, we had bought our PSVR2. We'd had it for like a day.
Yeah.
Before we sat down and do it. We've had a lot more time with our PSVR2 now. We've played a lot more experiences. I want to know your updated thoughts on the piece of hardware as we currently stand, and more importantly, what you've been playing.
Bless. Okay, so first I'll go about the hardware. I think for me, it's a game changer at the moment because my situation, I explained it last time, my situation's shit, where I'm playing on a 28-inch, maybe 32-inch at most, 1080p. It's not 1080p, it's like 1080i. That bullshit resolution that the Wii U ran on.
Yeah.
Fucking bullshit. But I'm playing on that, and it's a game changer because now I'm led in bed with my VR headset on and my Pulse headset on over it, chatting to you whilst we're playing anything. And you've noticed, I think you've noticed, you should have noticed, I'm back on top of the leaderboard on COD. And do you know why? It's because I can fucking see now. I can actually see what's going on. And it's just sick. It's just such a goated headset. And the fact that you can actually do the theater pass-through mode kind of thing where you're playing just normal 2D games in VR in a blacked out cinema. There's probably a reason I actually have been playing Returnal instead of Dead Space, and it's because I know I'd be shitting my pants in that VR headset. I think it's, for survival horror and horror games specifically, I think it's the optimal way to play them because it's dark. You don't know what's going on around you. It's terrifying, and it's just so satisfying. It's just so sick. That bit of kit, that PSVR2. Jesus, I don't think I've spent a better £550.
Yeah, do you know what? My thoughts are very similar to yours. I haven't used the pass-through mode at all. Literally not at all, actually. I don't think I've used it once. But in terms of the experiences that I've had so far with this bit of kit, oh, baby. Oh, baby. And speaking of experiences, there's been one that we've been playing together. So I think it's probably best to start there before we move on to some of the other ones. And that's Pavlov. Now, you were one who was saying to me about Pavlov for a little while and saying, oh, yeah, this is sick. You played it before, hadn't you?
Yeah, I played it. There's a version on the Oculus Quest, which you can download on the modded community. It's the side quest thing you can download. And it was called Pavlov Shack. Because right. Pavlov is a game that's been on Steam for ages. And it's basically just CSGO. Pavlov Shack, because the main game wasn't on Oculus, the community just remade everything. All the mechanics, all the textures, all the maps, everything. And just put it into a dumbed down version. Kind of like what, you'd get Call of Duty Black Ops on the PS3. Then the Nintendo Wii would get Black Ops Reignited or whatever the fuck it would be called.
Oh, yeah.
It's that. Pavlov Shack. And that's what I played. And it's literally the entire game, but probably just resolution's a bit lower. And it was fucking amazing. So I knew if you and I got on it, it's just such a fun... You're just playing CSGO in VR. Except you can lean in. It's got that kind of the voice proximity voice chat. Because I remember there was one scenario where you and I fucking about with each other, just pulling each other's magazines out our guns. Because you can do that, you can just rip them out. And then there was one time we were playing Search and Destroy, and you're there holding an angle. My teammate came up behind you, just went, "Hello, mate," and you went, "Yeah, what's going on?" Bam! Straight in the head. You thought it was your teamate who came up behind you. You're like, "Yeah, what's up?" Boof! And then I just heard you, because when you die, your voice chat goes everywhere. You just went, "Ah!" Just screamed. It's just sick. Great game.
It's a game where you have the VR handsets, right? And to aim, obviously, you pick your gun up with the one hand, And then if you want to steady your aim, you put your other one underneath. So you kind of like steady the weapon. And so to reload, you pull the magazine out, reach into your pocket, slot the new magazine on, pull the firing pin back, and you're good to go. And we started off by learning the game, kind of playing a 1v1 deathmatch. And it was just the most fun thing ever. I just loved it, because we were just playing with snipers or just random bits of kit. And you were like, where are you? You walking around? I was like, yeah. And I was just lying down. And because it senses your movement, Spence can't really stand up or duck.
I can't move. 'Cause the room I'm in, the situation I'm in is shit. I can't move. So that's why I've been playing so much 2D in my VR. But Pavlov, I was in a scenario where if I stepped backwards 3 millimeters, I'd hit the roof of my head. So I was stationary. I could not move.
See, when you said you were playing in your attic, I just imagined it was one of those small attics that you've got to like crawl in. So you're always kind of like stealth mode for playing those games. So you'd always be like prone, ready to go. So it's only when like you have to run away from something, it gets a little bit difficult for you.
It is, especially because I tried initially playing just sat in my chair. When you do that, the game thinks you're crouched, because that's how you crouch in the game. You genuinely crouch. And when you crouch, you can't sprint. So I was like, I'm moving so fucking slow. And I just had to try and come up with a solution. And it was that I could stand up in one spot, 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter spot in my room. And it's fucked. But another funny moment is the fact you have to crouch in real life, because it's VR, it's supposed to be real. Fella was literally dropped his gun on the floor. Everyone drops their gun. And once you drop your gun, it's like, you know when you see someone chase a rugby ball and they're like 4 arms out because they're scared of it bouncing back at their face? It's like that. You see people just trying to chase their gun, and the guy, I bent down and picked it up for him, gave it to him, then he dropped it again, and he went, "How'd you crouch?" And I went, "Bend your fucking legs. What do you mean, how'd you crouch? How'd you crouch in real life?" And he just looked at me, he's like, "What?" I couldn't believe it. He thought there was a crouch button.
It's wild. And what I gotta say, right, is this game mode, you got like Search and Destroy, Team Deathmatch, you got all these different game modes. The one that I really enjoyed was this zombies mode.
Yeah.
Where it's just endless waves of zombies coming at you and you're just killing them and you just gotta survive. And it's just great to be able to just get good under pressure. Being able to reload, being able to do these things, to remember these animations. And it was just really fun.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it for anyone out there. It was cheap as well, $19.99. Money well spent. It's not going to blow your mind graphically, but in terms of the gameplay there and having a fully online competitive multiplayer experience that was just engaging from the start to the end.
Yeah.
Couldn't recommend it enough.
It's dumbed down CSGO in VR.
Yeah.
And there's technically more to it as well, because in CSGO you can't aim down your guns unless it's a sniper. But you fucking do what you want with the gun. You can throw it at their head if you want. You fucking, if you sneak up on an enemy, fucking just pull the mag out their gun. Then you'd be like, "Oi, mate." Turn around, they got to shoot you, nothing. You're just like, and you stab them in the chest.
The funniest thing was when you and me were on the same team and we were just fucking with each other. And you pulled my magazine out. So I put a new one in. And then I held back your firing pin.
Yeah.
So you couldn't fire, and then just blammed you in the head. And I was just laughing, and I got booted out of the game.
Yeah, you got
Because all the teammates like, he's fucking team killing, even though we're just messing with each other. Fun as hell. Really, really fun. And I suppose the only other new game I've been playing apart from that, guys, I've been playing 2. I played a little bit of Call of the Mountain. I played about 4 hours of Call of the Mountain. And holy hell, what a visual showcase. Philip Hoy, as a massive Horizon fan, I need to lend you this. I think you will be over the moon with this.
I'm up for it. It's probably one of the only games on PSVR that I would be really excited to try. So as soon as you can, drag that away from your eyes for a couple of seconds, you would bless me with a little bit of time. I'd be really thankful.
I think you'll love it. The interactivity in that world is incredible. It's great. You can play with everything. You can kind of touch everything, interact with it all. And I've just been having so much fun just picking up random tambourines and then just pretending I'm Captain America and just launching them at different objects. Or just, my favourite thing at the moment is just getting a cup or a plate, pretending to drink it, and then doing the Thor thing. Psh, another! And just doing that and just making myself laugh. I've just had so much fun. Just yeeting stuff around, throwing it, fucking up the world. I created a painting which said, in PS we trust. And I thought, oh, this looks great. And then when I took a picture of it, I realized actually it's like a toddler's fucking done it. It's like toddler art. So I never shared it anywhere. But I spent ages on that. And it's really just a fun experience. And I tell you what, if you want to get good at managing your sickness level, it's been a great tool alongside Kayak VR. Because I went straight into that. I turned all the settings up to maximum in terms of being able to smooth turn, which you'd warned me about, Spence, was going to be savage, and turned off kind of all the help that you can get to manage your sickness. And it was the best thing I could have done. Because after my first sickness period I had with Kayak VR, I haven't had it since. And I'm playing now on everything to max, and I have no issues whatsoever. So guys, if you're doing half measures, I'd encourage you just to go for it. And you might have one night where you feel a little bit sick. After that, cured. Best thing I've ever done. Speaking of the best thing I've ever done, brings you on to the final thing and the final game we're going to talk about in this section. Gran Turismo 7. Long-term listeners to the show will know we are not racing fans, especially sim racing games. We never talk about them. We never give them any shine. Nothing like that. I decided I'm going to pick up GT7. Why the hell not? Everyone's raving about it on VR. Let's try it out. Holy hell. It's easily the best experience on PSVR 2, in my opinion, without a shadow of a doubt. And seeing as I cannot drive in a virtual in a virtual world, on a car, on a controller, I can't drive, but I can drive in real life. I put that headset on, I immediately can judge distance. I can see what's around. I kind of know when I'm going too fast for a corner. You can kind of just see the depth and where you should line yourself up to much easier than you can playing on a flat screen TV. Totally game changing for me. Being able to use your mirrors, being able to look around and be able to judge distance with how far away a car is. And it just feels intuitive to play. And I found the experience so engaging. I dropped a few bands and got a fucking Logitech wheel and a racing sim thing. I got like a full seat thing to play it now. And it's one of the best purchases I think I've ever made. Because I cannot put GT down. I fucking love it.
Quick question for you, Davey. So you've bought some physical hardware, but have you bought any digital hardware in the game? I know Spencer, he's known for his Ferrari impressions, and I know with GT7, you can pretty much pay to win. You can buy the best car sort of straight away. Have you been tempted?
Not at all. Not at all. The journey it goes through, so it starts off, and I think the original GT trailer showed about this, and I thought, oh, this would be quite interesting if I ever got it, but I'm never interested in buying the game. Well, it turns out, as someone who is not into cars, it's just really educational. You go into this cafe, go into this menu thing, and it gives you like a menu and it tells you about cars. So it might say, right, you're collecting Mustangs. You need 3 different Mustangs, and so 2 races will give a Mustang away, and you've got to buy one from the store with the credits that you earned from these races. So it all kind of works out and kind of puts you through, and then it tells you all the history. The Mustang first started in 1962 as a competitor to the blah, 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 and tells you all this stuff and shows you all these little pictures and races and all this stuff. And yeah, I haven't been tempted because the single player component of going through and doing these menus is really engaging. And I'm finding myself just really wanting to get that next car. Oh, what's that next one I got to collect now? Oh, I'm collecting timeless hot hatchbacks from the 1970s. Okay, cool. Let's learn about these. Let's see what Fiat did back then or whatever it is, right? And I'm finding this whole process has really gripped me. And it's a game where I should be playing Call the Mountain. I should be playing more Pavlov. I've got Star Wars I haven't even started yet. I can't put GT down. I just cannot put it down.
You say it's really educational. So what facts have you got about the Mustang that you can impress me and Spencer? Relative noobs to the sort of car scene. How would you bring us in? What would you tell us about the Mustang? How would you sell it to us?
What I would sell it to you is I'd say, well, what's interesting about the Mustang is that it's an affordable supercar, essentially, where it's got performance that levels that matches a supercar on the Nuremberg ring in 2018 when it raced with the brand new
Bloody
GT.
hell, Nuremberg
On the
ring.
Nuremberg, yeah.
Jeez.
So originally it formed in 1962, I believe, as a competitor to, I don't know when it formed. This was a few nights ago, all right? I'm bullshitting.
No, I think you're actually right.
Right?
I'm looking at the Wikipedia now just so I could actually fact check some of this, and it says in something around 1962. I can see that date anyway.
Oh, there you go.
Regardless, so I'm ticking that. I'm saying that's a win.
Oh, there you go.
Congratulations.
And this is the same level as if I got into FIFA. Because I do not understand footballers or cars. And now apparently I'm getting a remote logic. I've even got a favourite car. I've got a favourite car. I've never had a favourite car in my life. I now got a car that I want to buy, which is a Mitsubishi GTO 1991. Fucking want one so bad.
good choice.
It's so nice.
GTO's a lush.
That's my favourite car in the game. I love it.
Yeah.
And absolutely adore it. Absolutely adore it. If you've got a VR, you haven't played it, check it out. Now, Spence, you came around mine today, and you've tried it with the racing wheel setup, with everything. Give me your thoughts on GT.
It pissed me off. It pissed me fucking off because I'm skint this month. Car insurance came out for my real car, and I bought a PSVR2. I'm the most broke I've ever been since fucking 3 years at the minute, and now I need to buy GT7 and a fucking racing wheel. Because that experience was impeccable. Never again do you need to go to an arcade. Ever. You have it at home. And not only do you have it at home, it's in VR. And not only is it in VR, it looks stunning. And the wheel has like full feedback and shit. It feels like you're there. It's so sick. And I don't give a shit about racing games. My favorite racing game is Burnout Paradise from 2011, where your objective is to crash. And now I'm playing GT7 fucking immersed. And I'm just thinking, what the fuck?
But Spence, did you wind down the window?
Can't do that. That's the one thing.
Turned on the hazards.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I accidentally turned on the
I
hazards.
thought you could play with all the different things within the car.
No, it's not like that. It's not that level of interactivity. You can view all around the cockpit, and you can see all the dash. You can turn around, look out the rear window, and you can, all that stuff, check your blind spots and your mirrors and all that stuff. And you can, marvel in the 90s decor that is in my GTO. But yeah, you can't go and turn the heater on or anything like that.
To be fair, you might.
Oh, you might be able to. Because
I was racing earlier before this, and I just fucking spun out. And as I was trying to fucking get control of the car, I accidentally turned the hazards on. And we were just like, what? Just started seeing bling, 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 bling. As I'm fucking doing 120 around this course.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do I turn them off?
Yeah, wild. Absolutely wild.
Great game.
For me, that's definitely the ultimate experience. It's one of those things that I showed my dad Kayak VR, and I've never seen somebody that kind of like boyhood kind of just love that he had for it when he tried VR, and he was like, Liz, that's my mum. He said, Liz, check this out. Look at this. I'm in Costa Rica. I'm like, Dad. I'm like, Dad, you're shouting. You got the headphones on, Dad. You're shouting to all the neighbours. And he was absolutely enamored by it. And he was like, that was incredible. I can't believe that's where gaming's gone to. And I know that if I put him in GT,
you'll sit there all day.
That's it. I wouldn't get him off. And he's not into cars either. He's very much like me. Very just I don't really care. But there's just something about it where it's like, fuck, I can drive. Like, I can drive, and it feels like, yeah, I'm just driving for real. And it's just a wild experience, and something that I think, if anyone out there, if you haven't tried a PSVR2 and one of your mates has GT, that's the game. That's 100% the game. And I haven't even played RE8 yet.
No, yeah.
And that is apparently the other side of the coin, where they're the two best VR experiences apparently right now. So, yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Now, on that note, it's time to move it into quick news. Quick news.
Right, guys, time for a little bit of quick news. And I know for the last couple of weeks we've been doing the Impossible Karaoke, and tonight is no different. We're going to carry it on because we've been having so much damn fun with it. So the way it works is one of us nominates a song, one of us augments that song in some twisted way, and the other one has to suffer before then they read out the quick news. quick news. Right, we're going to start tonight with Davey himself. So, Davey, I'm going to nominate the song. Spencer, you're going to twist it a little bit.
Sure.
So here goes. I want to hear The Rock Show by Blink-182.
And I want to hear it as a 1992 GTO.
All right, ready? All right, okay. Quick news. Final Fantasy 16, one of the biggest games of 2023, has had a load of new details, and this has been shared by producer Naoki Yoshida, and he shared all this news with the internet. So, what do we know? Well, we know it's a 35-hour story. There's 11 hours of cinematics, which is absolutely insane. About 80 hours to be able to earn the platinum in this game for 100%. And what's exciting is that the combat has been directed by Devil May Cry 5's combat director.
Woo! What's her name?
Ryota Suzuki. And she's been the one working on the gameplay. It takes advantage of the PS5 and is well optimized. Runs at 60 FPS and very polished. And it's a semi-open world. And what we've also learned from this, because they showed off some impressions to a load of different influences, is that this game you control one character, your party's out doing their own thing, and it's Devil May Cry combat. It's just Devil May Cry Final Fantasy, which sounds absolutely goated to me. Any thoughts on this, guys?
Okay, I'll jump straight in. Fuck I mean, first time I've been keen for an FF. I've not been keen for FF16 this entire time. Really haven't. 35 hours is so short for a Final Fantasy game. Probably the shortest we've seen since, what? It's just shorter than 7 Remake.
Yeah, it's really short.
Really short. And it's fucking Devil May Cry. It's just Devil May Cry, but with Final Fantasy 16 boss size and freaking spells and lore and... Fuck. But 35 hours story, so that's 24 hours.
That's, well, if you say 35 hours, yeah, say cut that down.
24 hours because there's 11 hours of cinematics, apparently.
Yeah, but that's mainline. That's just if you mainlined it. You did nothing else,
Yeah.
right? 80 hours for the entire game.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
For an FF game, usually that's the length of the game. That's shorter than the length of the game.
Yeah.
So that's not bad at all. And I think that's kind of my issue with Final Fantasy games is the length of them.
Time
And
commitment.
they're always great as well, but they are such a time sink. So this is probably the first Final Fantasy game since obviously 7 Remake that genuinely really appeals to me. And it didn't at first, but this is changing it. DMC gameplay. I buy it digital, mate.
We'll have to wait and see. What about yourself, Mr. Hoy? Has this piqued your interest a little bit in Final Fantasy 16?
Well, I'm not a fan of Final Fantasy. I have never played a Final Fantasy game, not even the fabled Final Fantasy VII. So I don't know any of these music references that you made all those podcasts ago. But this one, actually looking at some of the screenshots and knowing Suzuki's involved with the DMC gameplay, yeah, I can see this working for me. If this comes out and I haven't got 20 odd games waiting by my PS5 for me to play, I might have a go at this. Genuinely.
Oh, well, I mean, what a selling point for all of us. To be fair, I was already in on this game, 100% in on it. I think when we were talking about our most anticipated games for the year, this was way up there for me. And now it's even sweeter the deal. But, guys, there's one last piece of news that's tied to this. And it's to do with the fact that there's been a lot of commotion about why Final Fantasy has become console exclusive on PlayStation. And if there's going to be a PC version coming with FF16, because at the moment they haven't been talking about it. So I got a bit of a statement here. I'm going to read this out in full, so apologies, guys, but I think there's some interesting stuff in here. Regarding the PC version of FF16, during a broadcast, your comments became a topic of discussion. Please could you tell us again? Yoshida said. Firstly, for FF16, due to the timed exclusivity contract with SIE, we cannot release other platform versions for 6 months after the PS5 version is released. I suspect many people probably don't know why we enter such contracts. and then this is the interviewer now, from the player's perspective, I think they perceive it to be something like it is for the hardware manufacturer to sell its own hardware during the contract period. Yoshida said, of course. I think there was also that kind of intention on the hardware manufacturer's part. However, from our point of view, the technical support we receive from the hardware manufacturer is a big factor to signing such contracts. This time, there was a portion where we were developing together with SIE engineers who know the hardware thoroughly, down to the core, and we received generous support in optimization that we could not manage on our own, and so on. Also, by not developing on the premise of multiple platforms, we can invest more man-hours into things such as building the game and optimization. In addition, we can also do promotions together globally that make me wonder, how much would this be if it was converted to money? Technological and promotional support are things we would like to receive if we can receive them. Now, for me, I found this hugely interesting. We always get these kind of questions about why they go into exclusivity deals, and we often, come away from those discussions with making kind of outlandish claims, or with really just thinking they just chucked them a barrel full of cash and that's the be-all end-all of it. But to have this kind of confirmation from Yoshida about why they've done this, to me, it makes perfect sense. If you're teaming up with the biggest console out there in terms of the PlayStation ecosystem, and you can get Sony Entertainment working on them to help them optimize it so it gets the best possible launch it can, and they get a bucket ton of money on the back end as well, why the hell wouldn't you? It makes perfect sense to me. Any thoughts on this, guys?
Well, for me, it's always been a bit of a question mark, why they sign into these deals, as it's been sort of questioned on the podcast many times. And you're right, Davey, we always seem to fall back to they've probably just paid them for this exclusive deal. But it's a no-brainer. If Sony is saying that they're going to give them the support for a console that they know so heavily, they know everything about it, right? The developers are going to come in. They've only spent a little bit of time on these consoles developing games, but to get the most out of it, they've actually got support from Sony. It's a no-brainer to go down that route for me.
You got any thoughts, Spence?
I mean, yeah, echoing basically both of what you guys have said. I mean, it's win-win for both Sony and Square. There's no reason they would ever reject such an offer, and especially what they said, whereas advertisement and the aid of Sony Interactive Entertainment in terms of developing the game. And when he says, what would this be converted to money? It's like, that contract is giving them so much in terms of helping them develop the games, helping them advertise it, get it out there without them even spending money, making them earn more money. It's just absolute win. And for a measly 5 months of it not being elsewhere, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure they said the same thing about FF7 Remake. And it took a while longer, but they can wait, bro. They're not in a rush to get it out anywhere. It's going to be on the PlayStation. No one else exists.
Well, let's be real. The place you'd want it otherwise would be PC.
Yeah.
Xbox, they don't really buy games. That's kind of proven now at this point. They just don't really buy them. And they're not exactly big in terms of JRPGs or anything like that, are they? It's very much just a US-centric market compared to a worldwide market that you get with PlayStation. So very different kind of clientele. But the PC port, I can definitely see that being within 6 months. Why not? Why wouldn't you? It's money on the table. And if that's the deal they had where it's just 6 month exclusivity, do it.
Yeah.
Why the hell not? But interesting nonetheless. If anyone's got any thoughts on this, audience, about this, if you found this interesting, let us know. Write in, psvtrust@gmail.com. I think there's quite a lot we could discuss here, but I don't want to take all of quick news up. So let's pass it along. I'm going to pass it over to yourself, Mr. Spencer Davis. The song I would like today. We've had a few different Limp Bizkit songs in the past, but it mostly goes down the Rolling avenue. I've been listening to a lot of Significant Other lately. You'd know Break Stuff. Surely you know Break Stuff. Come on.
What's it go like?
It's just one of those days.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want to wake up.
It's all about the he said, she said.
Bullshit.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know more than that.
I feel like shit. My suggestion is to keep your distance, because right now I'm dangerous.
I've genuinely never heard that song outside of when it comes on in like a Metros.
Oh my God, man. Where have you been?
Metros.
My God.
I don't need to hear it anywhere else. They play it 12 times a night.
Wild.
What's my flavour of the evening, Mr. Hoy?
Okay. I want you to do it as a snake.
clever little snake. That's what that fella said. You ever see that meme?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has, of course. I need a little snake hat. Thought about just having a lisp. Thought about this. She said bullshit. Bullshit. Quick news, lad. I don't know more of the song, so that's what I have to do. Quick news. Elden Ring DLC is in the works. Listen. Rise, fellow tarnished, and let us walk a new path together. Fucking Elden Ring, baby! Ooh. There's an upcoming expansion called Shadow of the Erd Tree. It is currently in development. Oh, baby. Elden Ring's back. Which I'm grateful for, because I've actually had no desire to go back to it.
Yeah, none.
Which is insane. But yeah, I'm grateful. We don't need to go deep on this, because we don't know anything.
When do you reckon you're going to see it?
September.
September?
Yeah, ages away. All we've seen is a screenshot. That's not a screenshot. It's art. It's not even in-game.
Any thoughts on a prediction, Mr. Hoy? When do you reckon we'll see it?
Normally, my predictions go down the route that you want to benefit from Christmas. So I'm saying it's going to be close to Christmas for this release. So I'm reckoning in the sort of November window.
I was going to say way sooner.
Game Awards, lads.
Oh, yeah, fair.
It'd be the Game Awards. Guarantee it. It'd be the Game Awards. 100%. Be the big thing to close the show.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, it won Game of the Year last year. It was
revealed initially at the Game Awards.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Oh, no, at Summer Game Fest it was initially revealed.
Yeah.
Summer Game Fest?
No way. Won't see it in June. I don't reckon.
What, the first teaser?
I mean, you could do, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Because it's been out for quite a long time.
And then
It's been out for over a year.
Yeah, then it could be released around the Game Awards.
Ah, that makes
and
sense.
have the release trailer.
I think I'm going to stick to my bet. I'm
Fair.
going to stick to it being the Game Awards, I reckon.
At the minute, all we've had is one tweet with an art render. And Vati Vidya, one of the biggest Souls YouTubers, did a 20-minute video on that one image explaining what this means for the DLC.
He's wild.
Be like,
mate.
this is what's going to happen. He's like, that person on the horse, we know who that is. You just see her back. He's like, we know who that is. What's happening to the Erd Tree? Like, it's fucked. It's decaying. What does that mean?
It's wild. You know, he just pulls... I don't know how he gets this stuff. It's wild.
He's got a database. He has like a giant Excel spreadsheet of every item and the lore attached to the items.
What a hero.
And he's just,
What a hero. Great content.
great content.
Great content.
But yeah, Elden Ring, fucking back, baby. And I'm going to be too busy playing anything else. But hopefully we get time. Now, Mr. Hoy, my
Here we
song
go.
for you is going to be a song I listened to. Was it today or yesterday? Yesterday. Listened to it. Came on the radio. Might have been today, actually. Might have been this morning. It was this morning, around 6 a.m. on the drive home. Last Friday Night by Katy Perry.
All right, I will have to Google the lyrics of this one.
It's Friday night, in the park.
Skinny dipping in the dark. All that.
Oh,
Last Friday night.
do it all again. Classic.
Yeah.
Phil,
Okay. Oh, sure. All right,
Great
let's do this.
I want you to do it like a turtle.
Like a turtle.
Yeah, take it anywhere you want.
Like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
You can do that if you want to. You could try and do the animal, the turtle, as well, if you wanted.
The real turtle.
What sort of noise does a turtle make? At least a
goes-
snake is recognizable, right?
Hey guys, this is Davey in Post. Turns out this is what a turtle actually sounds like.
Tortoise mating sound.
The more you know, huh? Back to the show. I imagine it would be like this.
That's another one of your crab women, mate. I don't know if you're answering Spencer's first question or second question there with that impression.
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both.
A turtle.
Yeah, turtle. Anyway you want. I want to hear
Give me
this
the worst
imagination.
ones, yeah.
Let your imagination run wild.
Just sing it normally and move really slow.
Oh, that's good. It's
Oh,
more of a
that is good for a
tortoise.
turtle.
It's more of a tortoise, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
They're quite
turtles are a
quick
little
as well,
bit
actually,
fast,
man.
aren't
They
they?
surprise you. Yeah, they surprise you. They're going.
Yeah, they're fucking flying.
Here we go. There's a stranger in my bed. There's a pounding in my head. Glitter all over the room. Pink flamingos in the pool. I smell like a minibar. DJ passed out in the yard. Barbies on the barbecue. The hickey or the bruisey. There we go. A British native turtle snapping away. And that's all I've got for you. Jesus Christ, guys, you make it very difficult for me. But quick news. So, guys, I'm introducing the PlayStation Playmakers right now. So this is a growing network of passionate gamers, apparently, creators, athletes, artists, and entertainers who are proving their power of play. But you're asking me, what the hell does that mean? So ultimately, PlayStation has paid a bunch of stars, mainly American stars, to just push a bit of PlayStation on the socials and put their name to things. So you've got people like LeBron James. You've also got, I suppose, more recognisable for the UK crowd, a person called Romelu Lukaku. I mentioned this earlier to the guys. You guys are not football fans. You didn't pick up on this one. But I know who he is. So when I'm seeing Romelu on my timeline and he's playing PlayStation, I'm putting the thumbs up. Cheers, Romelu. I appreciate your time.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Romelu.
Quick news. Right, we're going to swing back round to Davey. And as you've made it so damn difficult for me as a turtle, I'm going to give you Freak on a Leash by Korn.
Okay.
As a corn on the cob.
As a corn on the cob.
No, I won't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Just you got to cover yourself in butter.
There's a corn on the cob. Guys, make it somewhat, like, achievable.
yeah.
An inanimate object. Do it like an inanimate vegetable.
It's a corn on the cob.
I will. You what? I will make you do it as an inanimate object.
Go on.
A real life kazoo. You are the kazoo.
It's kind of more rocky.
Da-da-da, da-da-da.
I'll do the bit that everyone knows. I suppose like get up. Get that bit. Right. Quick news. Dead by Daylight. A game that you and me, Spence, we sweated the absolute living bejesus out of. And it's a game whereby a slasher goes out to kill a group of teenagers. A thing we've seen in movies since the dawn of the slasher genre. Well, guess what? It would make a perfect movie. And it is getting made as a perfect movie. So, Dead by Daylight movie is in the works. No other information other than that just now. I imagine the killer is going to be the huntress.
100%. 100%.
Makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, she's the best killer. That's an original character.
And she's scary as shit.
Terrifying. That singing.
That humming, mate.
Oh.
Oh, dear God. So, we'll wait to see more on this, but to me it feels like a total perfect fit.
Yeah.
So, coming back round to yourself then, Spencer. Song-wise, I would like The Offspring.
Fuck me.
Which one? Who?
I would like
you give
it.
me a Rise Against song now.
I would like it to be. I'm trying to think of a song that you'd know.
Don't know the band, mate.
Yeah. This is the tricky thing. Because I wanted to do the Crazy Taxi one. Do you know the Crazy Taxi song?
It's called. It was in Crazy Taxi.
Where it goes, yeah. No, I didn't think you would. Do you know Original Prankster?
No.
Oh my God. What
Jesus.
Offspring songs do you know?
My friend's got a girlfriend and he hates that dick.
No.
He tells me every day. Done. Just use that one.
I don't know it.
That's a brilliant one.
More dinero just to stay at home? Well, my friend, you
Friend,
gotta say.
Yeah, I don't know it.
Say no way, say no way, no way. Nah, why don't you get a job?
You get a job. Yeah, why
I
don't you get a
know.
job?
Are you gonna go far, kid? Shock.
Oh, all right, gonna go far, kid.
Is that the show me how to lie? You're getting better all the time. Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know the actual words. I know how it goes.
that's fine.
What's my flavour, Mr. Hyde?
I want you to do it as a duck.
A duck.
Yep. Yeah, duck. Quack, quack, quack. A duck. Do it as a duck.
I'll try. When I was a kid, I used to have a really good Donald Duck impression, but I can't. It's gone now. It's gone with time.
Yeah, you haven't practiced enough.
Yeah, like-
You haven't been in that mirror.
Yeah. Practicing my beak.
Practicing your pig.
My pig. All right. Okay, I don't know the words, so I'm just gonna fucking. Quick news. It's gonna go there. That's all it's doing. I was trying to go for a Donald, but at the same time, I can't.
Got a bit
hear myself.
demonic. It got a bit demonic.
He's
towards
running
it.
out of breath. He's running out of breath.
Choked out.
Yeah. Quick news. So there's a game that I said got snuffed at the Game Awards, and I think you agreed, Davey. And it's a game that was only up for like 2 awards, and it won one of them, and the other one was in the same category as Stray, so made sense. But that game is Sifu, and since Sifu's release, they've actually added quite a lot, and they are continuing to add more and more. They are adding an arena mode on March 28th. It's going to launch same day for everyone, Xbox, PS4, PS5, and PC. And it's fucking arenas. Fighting waves, doing all that fucking good shit. Just surviving. See how old you can get, see how young you can stay. And do that fucking sweep. That's the combo. That's the combo. What do you think? Is this going to make you come back to Sifu?
No.
Yeah, same.
No. I really like it. I really like the idea. And I like all the content they've added so far, but I haven't had that urge to go back to it yet. It's one of those games that I think in a year I'll be like really craving a bit of Sifu. But right now I've got too much on my plate.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Phil, mate, does this kind of make you want to jump into the game?
I was never in it to start off with, guys. I bought it and I quickly realized it wasn't the type of game I enjoy. But I really do like the style of this new arena game, the options that they're allowing you to play, and the types of arenas. They're very, very interesting. There's been a lot of creative thinking going on there, and I admire what they're trying, and I think it will bring the vast majority of the people who have been playing that game back to it to complete those arenas. But I'm sure it's going to be leaderboards after leaderboards, and yeah, I just don't have the time to compete at that level, really. So it's a little bit of a miss for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think we're all kind of in the same mindset of it's great that they're doing it, but it's not the time. None of us have the time to commit to it, which is fair enough. Fair enough. But I'm glad they're still adding more to the game. But moving on, Phil, my song for you gonna be a song I used
Make
to
it one I know.
love. You should know it. If you don't know it, it's insane. I got 2 choices actually. I'll go for the one I was going to go with. I want to hear your best rendition of Beggin' by Madcon.
Never heard of it in my entire life.
What? Begging you.
Put your loving hands out, baby.
Begging.
I
Do you not
honestly
know it?
don't know it.
That's crazy. It's a massive song. Never see Step Up 3.
We've lived very different lives, Spencer. I can
what's
get the
other
lyrics
song?
up and just go for it.
Yeah. Give it a go.
It's either that or I have another song. But if you do that, then the last song will go to Davey.
It's fine. I'll try it.
I've just sung it for you a bit, so you know a bit of how it goes.
Okay.
Riding high
Ooh.
when I was king.
Ooh.
Played it hard and fast 'cause I heard everything. Walked away.
Right, Davey, what animal do you want me to do begging as?
Oh, we're doing it as animals.
Another one that doesn't make any noise?
Like the classic rabbit that I gave Spencer a long time ago.
What's this? Yeah.
That was a great impression. I'd like it done as a horse, please. It's very vocal animal, horse. We all know what they sound like.
Fucking hell. A horse singing a song I barely know. Nay, putting your loving hands around me, baby. 'Cause I'm begging, I am begging. Nay. Quick news. Okay, guys. Unfortunately, I've got some bad quick news here. Well, it might not be that bad for us because I don't think we really enjoyed this game. So I'm talking about Forspoken. So the developers, unfortunately, they've now made the choice, I think probably forced, to merge back with Square Enix May 1st to work on future productions. Unfortunately, Forspoken hasn't been the most well received by the community, so I think it's their choice now where they're merging back with Square Enix to hopefully bring us some bigger and better things moving forward. So a little bit of a bad news for them, but probably better news for us now that they're working with Square Enix to make us better games. And that's my quick news. So I'm going to spin it back round. Spence, I'm coming to you. So you've given me two relatively difficult songs, which I didn't really know that well.
They're very big
so I'm going to
songs.
give you an easy one. Now, the song I would love you to sing. And I want to take you back to Birmingham.
Oh, yeah.
We went on a night out. And we went to a very particular bar first off, didn't we?
We did.
And what type of bar did we go to?
Gay.
We went to the gay bar. So let's hear it. I want you to sing me Electric Six Gay Bar.
And with this, I'd like you to do it just a couple of decimals lower than your normal voice.
Okay.
So just a little bit deeper than normal.
Gay bar.
Yeah, just really quite deep. Just quite deep. Yeah. Okay.
Take you to a gay bar. Gay bar. Take you to the gay bar. Gay bar. I don't know any other lyrics other than it says gay bar.
Let's start a war. No. Start a nuclear war.
Gay bar. Gay bar. I don't know what else it says. Quick news. Just moving on. Unfortunately, after the fantastic life of Telltale and then the sudden death of Telltale, they came back. Like Jesus, they were reborn on the third day. Except it was a lot longer than 3 fucking days. They were gone for long, ages. And they came back promising new things, promising fantastic things. Namely, The Wolf Among Us Season 2. Now, I was a big fan of Season 1. I think everyone was, because it was exceptional. Well, Season 2's been delayed all the way out of 2023 and pushed into 2024. And for a game that is essentially a point-and-click fucking adventure game, it's insane that it's had to be delayed. So I don't know what is going on over at Telltale, but the games are like 5 hours long and you point to move. So whatever they're doing over there, I'm concerned.
Do you know what they are doing? They're doing The Expanse. That's probably what they're putting all their time and effort into at the moment. That game looks incredible and I'm a big champion of it and I cannot wait for that one to come out. So I expect and I hope that's where they're putting their time and effort at the moment.
That's a really good point. For me, the thing I want them to do is just to change that fucking engine. The engine they were using was trash.
I like the engine.
Oh my god, it would crash all the time. It was frame drops left, right, and center on a
console,
cutscene,
maybe.
bro. Yeah, it was nuts. It was really insulting. So hopefully, with this time off they've had, and now with, like Phil said, The Expanse and with Wolf Among Us Season 2, or Wolf Among Us 2, that they've sorted it out. And maybe that's part of the delay. Maybe it's getting used to newer technology, whatever it is.
Yeah, maybe. I'm fairly certain the reason for that is that the games are made for PC and then ported.
Yeah,
and that's
maybe.
why the engine fails, because I never had any crashes on PC.
Oh, I had so many on consoles, unreal.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see what they do. I'm a bit concerned about Wolf Among Us. I don't really care about The Expanse. It's not an IP that I'm invested in, but The Wolf Among Us was phenomenal. And it's all those Disney characters, but twisted. I love that shit. I want to see it again, and I want it to be good. So Telltale, please. Please. But moving swiftly on, Davey, coming to you. The song that I would have given Phil had he rejected Begging by Madcon. Ain't No Rest for the Wicked by Cage the Elephant.
Oh, I don't know if I know that. Can you give me a bit of a lick?
It was in the trailer for Borderlands 1.
Oh, I don't know this at all.
Do you not?
No.
Fantastic trailer, by the way. Here you go. Hang on.
Go on, give me a live rendition.
Great song, by the way, if you don't know it.
I'll just do some random banjo noises, I guess. Unless Phil's... What are you chucking at me, Phil? What's my flavour then?
Everything except banjos.
I would like you to do it as a wedding DJ that's overcome with enthusiasm and he thinks he's on the Radio 1 stage DJing to a much bigger crowd, but actually it's a crowd of about 30, 40, and they're not really digging what he's putting down.
All right, okay. A bit of backstory for this DJ. On the sidelines, he does a lot of like year 6 discos. So
That's him. That's exactly him.
That's him.
Yeah, that's him. Hey, 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 you're on with Rickety Dave. Rickety Dave. We're here with hitting the ones and twos for the bride and groom. Let's give it up for the bride and groom. Well, you just heard Superman, that song where you gotta put the gel in your hair. Do. Now it's time for the main event. Here's that song from Borderlands that no one seems to know apart from Spencer. Let's give it up. See you on the dance floor, guys. Let's do this. Boo, 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 boo. Stop the music. Come on, Uncle Jim. Come on, Uncle Jim. Come on, Uncle Jim. You can do it like me. Put the music back on. Yeah, it's just more of that. Just more of interrupting it. Quick news. Guys, I was scrolling through Twitter the other day, and I come upon this post by Cobra VR. And what it is their first PSVR2 gun stock specifically made for Pavlov and other upcoming FPS titles. Now, have you guys seen this little attachment? It's basically 2 little magnets, like controllers on magnets, that you can then clip together and unclip to be able to do like the reloads or to be able to use a pistol or to be able to dual hand stuff. It's fucking sick. And it's being sold on like Etsy for 65 quid, which I think is pretty reasonable, personally. Have you guys seen this? And if so, what are your thoughts on these kind of third party, not even third party, that kind of startup kind of sellers creating these ingenious ways to be able to play VR games in new ways?
I have seen the video, and it looks mighty impressive. It solves a problem which I think a lot of PSVR 2 players are going to come up against. Because, of course, when you're holding the gun, the 2 handsets might move apart, and it doesn't feel so realistic, I suppose. And part of VR, and the beauty of immersing yourself in the world of VR, is that it becomes more real. So you want that kind of feeling as you're sort of maneuvering the gun. But going back to something like the Wii, I was never a big fan of those like third-party attachments to things. Remember, like the bat and the golf club and things like that? Ultimately, they were cheap and nasty and horrible, right? But this genuinely doesn't seem like it's going down that route. But I really want PlayStation to come in now, take that idea, uplift it, put a bit of Sony magic into it because they make amazing hardware, and really just like give us that, but just Sony. That's what I would want if I was playing an FPS.
What about yourself, Spence?
I've seen it as well. I do think it's very cool. I was going to bring up the exact same thing you mentioned, Phil, about all the Wii attachments you could get, the tennis racket, the bat. Basically, there was one for every Wii sport.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, literally
There was,
all of them. I had all of them. They're great.
You hadn't, did you?
Yeah, you got them in a set for like a tenner from Home Bargains. They were great. And did they do anything? Fuck no. But were you like, oh, I'm playing golf, but I chuck my club attachment on? Fuck yeah. Of course you do. You have it. This is actually practical, will actually help. Because there are times we play Pavlov, we played it the other day, and even though you're not really holding anything, you're holding the controllers, and so it's a bit shaky.
Yeah.
Always a bit shaky. This, you can actually stick it in your shoulder, hold it up, and it's not like your arms are moving separate from each other because they're attached. So they'd be shaking in the same kind of way. So it's a lot more balanced in how it would affect your aim. I think it's brilliant, especially for what you said, £65.
65.
That is a bargain for what this is. The magnetic attachment as well, being able to just unclip, pull the mag out, fucking grab them from your pocket, chuck it at your mate's head, all that nonsense. That's so sick. I think it's brilliant, and the thing I'm amazed by is that we're seeing it so soon. So soon and already so well done. And it just kind of gives me hope for what we could see next. Maybe kayak paddles.
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice. At the moment, what they've done is, for like kayak paddles, they keep showing off different ways that you can do it with a big stick. and how to attach it on there with cable ties. Very homebrew. And yeah, certainly not to this level, where this looks like a really professionally produced product. It looks great. I gotta lament the same thing as you guys. I really want Sony to come out with something. I really do. I loved their attachments for the PS3 they had with the Move. I've got a couple of them down there for when I've been playing different games for review. Really well made, elegant, feel nice. What I'd like to have a gun kind of controller like that that's got the haptics built in.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what I was thinking. I'd like them to make not an attachment, a controller.
Yeah.
Like a light gun kind of thing.
Yeah. And even if you got to, attach your things onto it, whatever, I don't care. But what I'd like to have is I'd like to have that kind of haptics in the stock. That's where you want the haptics.
You want it to be kicking you in the shoulder.
You want the kick. You want the kick.
Yeah.
You definitely want that. And I think even if that was 120 quid or whatever, if it was a case that you had by that point, if this is a year's time, you have a range of different FPS options out there, why the hell not? Like, the difference it makes having a wheel on GT, having like something that feels like a gun, a bit of weight to it. I know that there's all these different sims that you can have this, and you can have like that body armor that, you feel the impact and stuff, don't you? There's lots of different ways you can go, but I think a gun attachment, priced around 80, 90 quid, even that's quite expensive, but it's not ridiculous. It's not like getting to the point of like the PlayStation Edge.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, you don't want to go anywhere near that price range, but if you can keep it under $100, I'd be so keen for it with haptic feedback, because I think that's the only thing that I'd be missing in this.
I'd also want an adaptive, like we have adaptive triggers on the pads.
Yeah.
Trigger, a gun trigger.
Proper
that's
trigger.
Adaptive, yeah.
Oh, it'd be lovely, that.
That'd be sick.
Yeah. Oh, well, we can hope and pray, guys. Very niche product on a niche.
Oh, it's for
thing.
One game, yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely niche. I can't see it happening from Sony directly, but hopefully, maybe it might be even from Cobra VR, and I'll put the link to this in the description of the podcast. Maybe that's something that comes down the line.
Yeah.
Who knows? But hell yeah, it's a great first step. And if I play a lot of Pavlov, 65 quid isn't a big ask.
No.
And it is looking very appealing. We'll have to see how much I spend time on that game in the future. But that's enough of that. So, I am passing it to yourself, Mr. Hoy, for in terms of a song. I like a classic. I've been chucking you all these different mixes, and they've been, a little bit challenging. I'll give you a nice, easy song. I want Bon Jovi's A Shot to the Heart.
And I'd like to hear it as someone who's lost their voice.
Oh, that's dick move.
But not like, it's not gone. It's like raspy. You know what I mean?
Oh,
sore throat, if anything. So it's like, shut.
Okay, let's try and sing this old man voice here. A shot to the heart. It's all part of the game that we call love. This is like 20 a day, mate. This is like, I've been on the Carlins, I've been on the Budweisers, and I've had 40 fakes. Would you be content in crying after all those little games you've been putting me through? I don't know why he's got all London. Quick news. Okay, guys, and I don't know how I've ended up with this one, because I thought, Davey, you would have dived in, highlighted it in the doc, and it would have been yours. But I'm embodying the character tonight. I am wearing orange for all the visual, for all the listeners to the podcast who are listening like on Spotify, who cannot see me right now. I'm dressed in orange because I'm embodying Goku, because we have the announcement of Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. That is coming out, and hopefully I haven't butchered the name too much, because I know how, Davey, you love this game, you're passionate about it. You can speak to this game a lot more than I can, because I've never played any of the originals, but I'm just setting you up. So I'm tossing you the shot. Get that baseball bat out, and let's knock it back. Over to you, son.
It's here! 15 years we've waited! 15 fucking years! And it's finally back! Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi, the fucking game of games, the game that I lost years of my life to on the PlayStation 2, the Wii, the PS3. We're fucking back, baby. We're gonna be going in with our kid boobs. We're gonna be going in there with our Super Saiyan Vegeta. And when you get down to that last hit, the Martian activates and it's on. It's fucking on. We can play through Super. We can see Ultra Instinct, Ultra Ego. I am overly excited about this, guys. I think honestly, I fucking went nuts when this was announced. Absolutely nuts. The teaser trailer for this was literally just showing a screen, like a TV screen, showing the older games, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, I think it was, and then it just went to modern graphics, seeing Goku transform to Super Saiyan Blue. And I was fucking like a pig in shit, boys. I had a smile on my face that would not go. I was like a Cheshire cat. It was wild. I cannot wait. It's one of those games that is dumb fun with your mates. And I know PlayStation sales for handsets are going to go out the fucking wazoo.
Oh, yeah.
Because the beam battles on that. Oh, I will never beat you, Spencer. I know this. I will never beat you in a beam battle. I will never fire a beam in my goddamn life because I will never be able to beat you in the waggle. But I will love every moment of it.
Yeah.
My poor PlayStation 5 controllers. They're going to get fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely agree. I'm big. I'm not as excited as you because I know it's dumb fun. I probably won't buy the game. No, I will.
What?
I will. I'm thinking about it. I probably will.
What the fuck?
I know, yeah. I'm thinking
He's going to kick you off the podcast right now.
Isn't it? To be fair, he screen shared to me GT the other night where he's like, Spence, watch this. His character is fucking Goku in Gran Turismo. He's got a massive
Really? You can
orange...
do that?
Yeah, this community made like skins and stuff. He's got a massive, the gi that Goku wears, and then he's got a bright orange helmet with Dragon Ball Z on the front and just Goku on the side and Super Saiyan 1 firing a beam. And I literally won a race.
Absolute nerd.
In it.
Nerd! That's why I'm shouting at you when you drive your car past me on the side.
GTO.
My
Nerd.
GTO. When I get my GTO and I drive past in my 1991 GTO.
That's orange embroidered with Goku and Vegeta. I
And you got
believe seeing
Shenron
it.
up the side of the car, right? With fireballs and lasers. Okay.
Oh, that'd be sick. But I'm a big Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi fan. I played Tenkaichi 2 is my main one. I played it on the Wii, and on the Wii you had to literally be like to shoot the key blast, and to do Spirit Bomb you had to literally wait like 4 minutes and then raise your arms in the air for fucking your arms were aching. You had to gather the fucking energy and then drop it down, and it was sick.
Great. I remember playing that. I
Great
loved it.
fucking game.
Final
on the Wii.
Flash. You had to get your nunchuck and your Wii remote. Chuck them right back out.
Yeah.
Put it back in. Sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
It was sick. It was sick. And if we can get this experience again, VR. VR. I want to be Goku. That's the dream.
Davey, all those nights of us on dance floors, before we pick up those crab girls at 6 a.m., we're doing Dragon Ball Z moves. We know them all down to a T. If that might be my way into VR, if that becomes a reality.
Yeah, I mean, we've got so much practice for this. It's a classic of just being in the middle of a dance floor, everyone's raving, and
Fusion
the music's
dance.
building, and then someone just puts 2 fingers to the top of their head, and they start charging the special beam cannon. And you're just waiting. And then as soon as the drop happens, you fire. You let loose. And then everyone's going mental, and it flows.
It goes quiet. You see some short fella in the corner just charging up his destructo disc.
Just launch it. And then, but then you gotta be Cell, and it just doesn't affect him. It just dissipates.
True.
The amount of nights we've done Dragon Ball Z dances, and everyone's been like, trying to mac on girls, and we're all there just fucking throwing Kamehamehas across the dance floor. And the amount of people that then just come up and they're like, oh, fucking Dragon Ball. Like, they love it. They absolutely love it. They go wild for it. Yeah, great time. It won't
Not
get
too
you
many
laid,
girls
guys.
come up, though.
No,
Yeah, not too many girls
no
come up.
But today it
no.
might.
No, a lot of fun.
Women be liking anime now.
Might be a bit different. I don't know. I think most people are really just into bump and grinding, and bump and grind on a destructive disc glove. That's all. That's all I'm saying. It's coming your way.
Fucking crazy. But yeah, Dragon Ball. I'm excited.
Grind on a destructive
On
disc.
this disc.
My name's Davey. Good to meet you.
Up on my
They call
special
me
I don't think
list.
that's winning anyone.
They call me Mr. Final Flash.
You're just doing it and you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Times 100.
Special beam cannon.
Just going.
Oh man.
I think it's going to be, I mean, not even long ago, you pulled out the PS3 and we played Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3.
Yeah.
It literally like a few months ago.
Yeah. Not
we
long
just
ago.
played it.
On PS2. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, PS2 even. Yeah. We just had a great time.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
And now we're going to be able to play it online with the new transformations and fucking voice chat. Imagine how many kids are going to be playing this game and you can have voice chat and be like, you're fucking shit.
Oh, imagine you could do a 4-way fight and you and me confuse.
Bro.
Bro.
How would we control that shit?
Don't know. We'll
No.
figure that out when we get there. Be like Octodad. You ever played Octodad?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like that, I reckon.
Right. Before we have to rename our podcast to the Dragon Ball Z podcast, let's move this on and let's hype up the winners and let's punch down on the losers. So tonight we've had some fabulous impressions and some not so fabulous impressions. So Davey's given us the Rock Show as his car from Gran Turismo. He's also done Freak on a Leash through a kazoo. And then he's done some song that Spencer nominated, which no one seems to know, as a wedding DJ. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Spencer has broke stuff as a snake. He's tried to sing an Offspring song as a duck, and then he's taken us to the gay bar in the Barry White voice. Then I have done Friday Night, I believe by Katy Perry, as a snapping turtle. I've been begging as a horse, and there's been a shot to my heart, and it's strangely hit my vocal cords, and I've not been able to speak correctly. So guys, coming to you first, Davey, who was your favourite of tonight? And remember, this means absolutely nothing.
My favourite tonight was your horse impression. I really
My
liked
horse
it.
out of all of them.
Yeah, really like the horse. Really like the horse. There was something about it. There was just a few different horsey things you did. Like you did a good. I got a blocked nose, so I'm glad I didn't have the horse. But yeah, you did a good little sniff thing. You did like the nose. I think I might have heard a clip clop, but I'm not sure. But I really enjoyed it. Horse got so many different vocalizations, and you took it home for me. You burst out of that gate and you ran straight through that finish line.
Cheltenham's coming up, so I'm a good runner. I'm definitely strong in that area. Spencer, what was your favourite of tonight?
Well, I think my favourite might actually be a tie for the first time in history.
Oh my god!
I know.
Really?
And it's your last impression, Phil, made me laugh. That shit was funny.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I really like that. And then the GTO.
Oh, you like the GTO?
I thought it was great. Really funny. I didn't like your last one because you just didn't fucking do the song. But I understood what you were doing. And you did it well, but I can't give it the best. And that's the reason why it's middling because of it. But the GTO, really fucking good. I really enjoyed that. Especially because I drove it.
Are you going to go with the GTO or are you going to go with the no voice? I've got to press you, Spence. Final answer.
No voice.
No voice. Oh, so that makes me the winner of absolutely nothing. Well, Davey, seeing as he's taken that point away from you, I'm going to give you the pity vote because I loved your wedding DJ. And yeah, well done. That made me laugh. That actually was funny. I think a lot of these, I've just been laughing along, but this one actually made me LOL. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to what really matters, the losers. We hate a loser on this show when we punch down. So, Davey, I'm going to come to you first. Who was your loser of tonight? Remember, if you're the loser of overall, we're going to be adding a shot to the dock for the next big quiz. And ain't looking good for you, Davey. So make friends right now. You need to start making friends.
Well, not playing a game here. Not playing a game. But the one I was actually just disappointed in. Because I think we all had some duffers today. I think we all had some duffers. There was not a strong showing. Compared to previous episodes, we've had some strong ones. I think today we've all had some ones that weren't great. The one I was actually gutted about though. I was disappointed in was the gay bar.
You were leaning towards me as you said the one I was scared
Yeah,
about.
I'm sorry,
And I
man.
was like, I know it's me now.
The gay bar is this. It's such a class song, and there's so many different ways that you could do it. Yeah, it just didn't hit right for me. Felt like it was a way. It wasn't your full potential.
That's fair enough.
Seen your potential with the duck, and it wasn't anywhere near that.
That's fair. Respect. Appreciate the honesty.
Yeah,
Your
so that's
candor.
1-0 for Spence there.
Yeah.
Now, Spence, you're going to rescue it. Where are you going to go for your worst of tonight?
It's a tie again, boys, but I'm going to have to make a decision. I really didn't like the wedding one.
Oh,
Because you just didn't do the song. Didn't do the song.
oh, that's fair.
But I like the Uncle Jim's on the floor. I like that, but it just wasn't an impression of the song.
Fair.
But then equally, last Friday night
Oh, yeah.
was spoken.
Yeah, that was a dire one. That was dire.
Yeah. There was no impression to be had other than the at the end, which I did really appreciate. The turtle snaps were bang on. But the
What
song
other
wasn't done
noise does a
justice.
turtle make?
No, exactly. That's fine. The turtle was good. The turtle was the good
Like,
part.
you've given
The
me
song
an
was what was done.
impossibility with a turtle. It's an
didn't
underwater
like the
creature.
turtle.
It doesn't tend to make a lot of noise. Again,
know what
he's
turtles do,
answering
yeah.
Spencer's first question as he gobbles that down.
Isn't it?
Spence, which you going as your worst? Are you picking me or Davey on this one?
I'm picking Davey.
Oh,
That's my worst.
Oh,
Because
well.
I just didn't do the song, mate.
okay. I accept that.
And you said you'd heard it before as well.
Yeah, I don't know it though.
Smear of every song.
I know what you feel like. I know your pain.
Right, so you've left me with the deciding vote. And I'm sorry, Spencer, you did agree with me early on a point, so I was swaying towards nominating Davey, but I cannot let you get away with not knowing Break Stuff. Like, this is such an iconic Limp Bizkit song, and you tried to hiss like a snake, but it just didn't work. It kind of sounded like you had a lisp. You didn't actually, give me the full snake experience. You could have done a little bit of this, could have given me a little bit of wiggling, but nothing, no visual cues towards a snake. So unfortunately, that is my worst, and that deems you the loser of Quick News.
I'll take it, boys. I'll take it on the chin. Just remember what happened to me last big quiz. And remember, you could be causing the return.
So we're basically
A
just
Bane
sealing
blade.
Phil's win.
Yeah.
We're just sealing another win for Phil immediately. I'll make sure I do things where you're not competing against each other. I won't do that again next time.
Right,
Yeah.
let's move it on to the topics.
Stop. Topic time.
So, guys, we are into the first topic of the evening. Now, quite a big one, and I will say preemptively, if you'll allow me, and you're arseholes if you don't. The button's turned off.
Buttons off. 100% of buttons off, yeah.
Off. Yeah,
Bless.
big time off.
Yeah, huge. Resident Evil, huge. Yeah, oof, that's nice. Nice to say.
I didn't say which button.
Button. So, for topic one, what we will be discussing, which I'm sure you listeners, you could probably guess by who we are and what's happened recently. The Capcom Spotlight event happened last night from the date of recording, which is the 10th of the 3rd. We all watched it. So before we go into anything specific with the showcase, firstly, let's just get your top level thoughts, a rating, how you think it was, how you think it went, how was it presented. Phil, coming to you first. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I watched this a day later than you guys, and I was avoiding my social media because it was pinging as the Spotlight event was going on. So I managed to ignore you guys, which was quite nice. I set you to mute, which I might do a little bit more often, sort of going forward, because it was very peaceful. I was very zen just in my room, just relaxing without the constant barrage of banter that I seem to experience over on Messenger. Some would call it bullying, but I'm fine with that. I'm still here. I'm still strong. But I quite enjoyed the Spotlight event. Nothing hugely interesting outside the one particular update, which I'm sure we'll all talk about, and we'll get onto that a little bit later. And I'm glad the actual Resident Evil button's off. for this conversation, because we're going to talk about that, I'm sure, more in depth. But a lot of this was just updates to things that I knew was happening. So little teasers more than anything. So it was just blue balling me for the future of what Capcom's bringing. There's lots of other things from Capcom which I'm not interested at all by. And then one, I suppose, that has piqued my interest a little bit more after this Spotlight event. So I'd probably go slightly above mid, which I'm saying is 7. So I'm going to go for an 8 out of 10 for this one.
Wow. High praise, I'd say. Davey, mate, what about you?
Waste of time. Total waste of time. I think for me personally, I came away from it. I wasn't expecting anything great, don't get me wrong. But for 26 minutes of my time, which is what this was, there was nothing here that I cared about at all, if I'm honest with you. There was the Resident Evil news, which we'll cover off in a moment, and that was great. But yeah, it could have easily been a blog post. And I think for me, it was a 4, maybe even a 3 out of 10. I came away from it just feeling like it was a waste of my time.
Yeah. Well, unsurprisingly, I'm on the side of Davey with this one.
You?
I thought it was a 1 or 2 out of 10.
Oh, God,
Straight
you got
up.
even lower. You got even lower.
Yeah, I thought it was
Oh.
shit. There was nothing they showed that I wanted to see. A lot of it completely uninterested in. And it'd pop up, be like, new Monster Hunter. I'm like, I don't give a shit about Monster Hunter. New commentator for Street Fighter 6. That's the one thing I don't really care about. Street Fighter 6. Commentators are cool.
Oh,
Don't care about this one.
imagine.
Yipes.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I watched it and I thought, oh my God, is it Yipes? No.
Yeah, imagine it was Yipes.
If it was Yipes, it'd be a 4 out of 10. If not, it's a 1 or 2. I didn't care. And then they showed Exoprimal. I'm so uninterested. So uninterested. So uninterested. This entire showing, what we said, what we're mentioning in a bit, I've already said I don't want to see it. Don't want to see it. So it was straight up 1 or 2 out of 10. Waste of my goddamn time.
Whoa.
Fuming. I was actually fuming coming out of that.
Wow. Very mixed reception from the MPS We Trust crowd on this one. So, do you want to lay through what we actually saw, and then I suppose we can just discuss whatever we want to discuss from this then?
Yeah, of course. So the things they showed, I've already mentioned a few of them. But the first thing they showed was an absolute waste of time being Exoprimal because it looks like arse. And then they announced a new commentator for Street Fighter 6, which we haven't written down the name of who it is, but it's a Japanese commentator, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And then they announced Ghost Trick coming back as a remake in June 2023. Yeah. And then Monster Hunter Rise expansion Sunbreak coming April 28th. And Resident Evil Death Island, the movie, which we know, we love Resident Evil movies. And then I suppose the saving grace was the RE4 Chainsaw demo out now. And that was the saving grace. So, after all these things I've listed off, all these minute things, what are the standouts? What were you upset to see? What were you happy to see? What made you think, fuck yeah, this is hype?
Well, I won't go on for ages because I'm sure that Mr. Hoy's got some things. So I'll pick one thing to go on just for now, and that would be Exoprimal. You know what? I think it looks like a bit of fun. It looks janky as shit.
Terrible.
And I reckon it's probably going to be gash. But the saving grace is they announced an open beta on the 17th and 19th of March. Am I going to play it? Fuck yes, I am. Absolutely. The one thing, right, that I was surprised they didn't do, and I think they kind of teased it, but they didn't give it away, was they said a new operator was coming in. And they showed someone sitting down. And I thought, fucking hell, it's going to be Regina. It's going to be Regina from Dino Crisis, right? It makes perfect sense for it to be Regina. And they didn't show the face. I reckon it's fucking Regina.
I am gutted that you picked that because that was one that I really wanted to mention. Because a lot of people were talking about the lady on the jet or the base, and she's got red hair. But I think they've updated her now to have glasses, so it's definitely not Regina, and she looks wildly different to her now. I don't know if they've updated that since the first kind of like preview of it, or maybe we just saw the back of her head. But now actually looking at her, the woman in the base where they're all talking, where they're trying to give you a bit of story and reasoning behind why dinosaurs are falling from the air, and we've got all these mech suits to like fight them, and we've decided actually we're going to take him on with like a samurai sword. I don't know why, right? They're trying to thread some loose storyline there. That definitely isn't Regina, okay? But I'm with you, Davey. The open beta test, 17th to 19th of March, I'm there. I'm for it. I'm not for all this pre-order bonus, the head start pack, the season pass, the other pass,
Terrible.
all that bollocks. I couldn't care less. I just ignored all that. But I am down for the open beta. I think it's going to be dumb fun. I think we're going to have a laugh for those 3 days.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm surprised you're so hating on this. I think it's something that we'll probably end up passing on in all honesty, and we'll end up picking up down the road as part of, the PS Plus collection, or sorry, PS Extra, or we'll get for like, £5 in like 5 years' time. I reckon it's gonna be fun.
It looks shit. They were shooting the dinosaurs, and there's no freaking, like, the dinosaurs don't feel the bullets. There's no reaction whatsoever. They just keep running at you. They don't feel jack shit. And then
is that the thing that took you out of the story, that the dinosaurs didn't feel bullets? Not the idea that dinosaurs were there in the first place and you were in mech suits and, people were flying about trying to solve portals and things. No, just the dinosaurs not feeling the bullets. You thought, whoa, this is unbelievable. I don't like this.
That's what took me out the gameplay. Because when you shoot something, it should react. Story, already, I've hated on Extra Primal since the second I saw it. It looks like arse. And then the graphics look like shit. The gameplay looks like shit. The idea of the entire game is shit. And then they said, head start pass. And, yes, the battle pass, by the way. They showed the battle pass. They showed like 50 kinds of cosmetics. And they were like, Exoprimal. Yeah. And I was like, you cunt.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Whoa.
Couldn't believe it.
Oh
Simmer
my
down.
God.
Simmer down, bro.
So gross.
But it made me angry. Genuinely angry seeing Exoprimal.
I can feel that
It
fury.
looks terrible. And then they have the audacity to say you could pay us more as well if you want mine.
We're going to have to put like a warning symbol on the thumbnail of this podcast now. This is stepped above an 18.
Includes the C word, yeah. I couldn't fathom it. It ruined the rest. That's probably why it's 1 or 2. If they didn't show Exoprimal, it'd be a 4 or 5.
Oh my
But
God.
the fact they showed it bumped it. I hate this game. I hate this game.
One for you and me then, Phil. We'll let you know
Super.
after the 19th of March what it's actually like.
And then you'll turn to me and you'll be like, yeah, fair enough.
What if we love it?
If you love it, then it's peak.
I reckon we're gonna love it, Phil. I reckon even if we hate it, right, we'll just say before the show, we'll be like, yeah, we love this, and then all we'll do is we'll add in post after that. Actually, yeah, it's trash, but we'll just wind Spence up and say how good it is. Game of the year
I'm
contender,
down for
Exo
that.
Primal.
It looks all right. It looks all right. It's not going to be great, but imagine it is great.
Yeah,
Imagine it is great.
oh,
I can't.
oh dear. So that's my choice. What about yourself, Mr. Hoy?
Well, I'm going to pick that low-hanging fruit, and by God, it's a juicy bit of fruit. It is Street Fighter 6. So we are getting this June 2nd this year. Can you believe it? This year. So they talked about the World Tour. They talked about the Battle Hub, but they also introduced us to our final commentator. This is a Japanese lady. Unfortunately, I don't know who she is, but that brings us up to 8 total. So they were talking about the interactions between like color commentators and the more strategic commentators, which will give you a bit more of the flavor and background of the characters, which I found genuinely interesting, but I could imagine gets super annoying and turned off in competitive play. They talked about the pre-order bonus, which now if you pre-order the game, you get extra colors for Chun-Li, Jamie, Manon, DJ, Jury and Ken. So boys, I'm putting my money down. I cannot wait for Street Fighter 6. And that was actually my highlight of it. I know we're going to talk about Resident Evil a little bit later, but Street Fighter 6, chef's kiss.
Yeah, I'm going to take this before David can say anything. Bro, skins for every character except Cammy, bro. Fucking,
And Ryu, mate. No
Yeah, and
Ryu.
Ryu.
No Ryu skin.
they don't need to. Ryu's beautiful.
Beautiful
But
bastard.
then so is Cammy, but at the same time, I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you. They hated me this showcase. Hated me.
One thing to also mention, and this might bring you back into the mix, Spencer, is you class yourself as a competitive Street Fighter player, don't you? You like the FGC. You compete in Smash Brothers. You're hoping to compete a little bit at Street Fighter 6. But if you get really good really quickly with Cammy, you can enter the Pro Tour, right? and that's £1 million, or I think dollars actually, for the first prize. And overall, the prize pot is £2 million, or euros, or dollars, whatever it is. It's a lot of money. That's what I'm trying to say. So Jesus Christ, you got to get good real fast to get that bank.
Yeah, it's true. And I will try. I won't win, but I will try. It doesn't matter anyway. We can farm locals. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll smoke Wales up. Wales
it's
are
gonna be
trash.
calm.
So we'll be able to rule at this roost. But as soon as we go out of these shores, it starts to get a bit ropey.
Yeah, dicey, mate.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, but I couldn't believe it. All they showed Street Fighter 6 was new commentator and these extra skins for the characters you don't play. And I was like, fuck you, Capcom, man. They hated me. Oh, but I'm still extremely hyped for the game. Very much. I don't need to see more because I've already played it, and it's the best fighting game I've ever played. I don't need to see more, unless it's more Cammy.
He's got a problem.
You see, you can hold her kick, and it turns into a command grab that you can combo out of. Oh
no, I didn't see this.
You can combo out of it into a super. You can combo off the super. It's insane.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I quote retweeted it just saying, what?
Oh, I did not see that. Oh my gosh. Let's have a look. So what is your choice for your takeaway from this presentation?
Well, out of the options that are left, what's it going to be, boys? Ori.
Ghost Trek?
Death
Phantom
Island.
Detective?
Absolutely not. It's the animated movie, boys.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
It's going to be anything. That movie's going to be sick. Plus,
Because we're not going to talk about anything else. We'll have to move on. We're only having one pick each.
that's fine. Yeah. No
You want to gloss over the most important thing here?
We'll definitely loop back for that.
I think, to be fair, genuinely, I'm picking the movie, by the way. It's not a joke.
All right.
Just because I
Okay.
like the animated movies. They're so fucking stupid. Leon drives a motorcycle into a helicopter, you know? And they do a ballerina dance at one point, just dodging bullets, and they're this close to each
It's
other.
ridiculous.
It's insane, those movies. And Jill has a model from RE3. She looks flames. Flames, brother. It's just, I think it's gonna be a Resident Evil movie. But it looks like, the way it looks, I say graphically, but it's not graphic. The animation and style of it looks fucking beautiful.
Davey, as a Resident Evil connoisseur, obviously you've played the whole series of the games on your YouTube, and a spectacular YouTube series that is. I'm sure the description will be your YouTube link for anyone who does want to check that out. I've got a question for you. Now, in that CG trailer, I saw Jill Valentine meeting Leon. Now, is that the first time it's going to happen in anything Resident Evil?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's the first time the two of them have ever met, which is wild to think about. In fact, Jill has had very few people from the Resident Evil canon that she's actually interacted with. She's only interacted with Chris and Baza, with Barry. And then apart from that, it's all just random characters. And of course, Wesker and stuff like that.
Wesker, yeah.
Did they not meet in the one live action movie when they're fighting in the snow?
We do not talk.
But technically, that's right, isn't it?
Do they meet in that?
They come out of the bunker, the massive...
In the brand new one?
the Russian... No, not the newest live action. No, in the Mila Jovovich. When she's in the fake world where they were testing the virus.
She's not
underground.
in that. Jill's not in that one. Jill's in Resident Evil 2. The Resident
No,
Evil 2
she's
movie.
had the thing, the RE5 bug on her.
Oh god, I probably wiped all this from my mind.
She's got the RE bug on her and they rip it off her in the end.
Do they?
Yeah, and they fight her in the snow and she breaks like Mila Jovovich's ribs.
Let me jump in to save you. Davey, is this the first time they've met in the video games?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes. She's met hardly anybody. She's not like Chris, the golden boy, where he's met everyone. Leon seemed to have met everyone at some point down the line. But yeah, Jill's been very much siloed off for whatever reason. So to see her back here and to get a prominent role, the fan reaction was insane when this was first originally shown. And this was just kind of like an extended teaser towards that.
And it looks like she hasn't aged a day, does it?
Raccoon City
Exactly the same.
Yeah, she must be using all that Maybelline. She must be putting that on that anti-aging Maybelline because she hasn't aged a goddamn day. And, you know, we're talking like probably, 20-odd years past Raccoon City at this point. unless this is based very much a case that Umbrella's still going. We don't know many details about Resident Evil Death Island just yet. But guys, this has got me excited because did you notice something swimming in that water?
Fuck's sake.
The sharks are back.
I could guess what it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
the
sharks
shark.
are back, baby. My favorite enemy from Resident Evil only featured in one Resident Evil, and I guess a tiny bit in 6.
Yeah, is it not the Invisible Snake?
no, that's in 6.
Wee.
No, seeing a nice Nemo, as they call it, a nice shark. Ooh, baby. Ooh, and Nemo. Neptune. Nemo. Yeah, no, Neptune they're called. Yeah, seeing them back, I'm so in for that, man. And this has actually got me interested, not gonna lie. Even though the last Netflix film was fucking dog water. Did you watch that one, guys?
It was a show, wasn't it?
Did.
Yeah, it was terrible. Absolutely awful.
So this is expected in the summer of this year, so we haven't got long to wait for this, but it's very timely, I suppose, because we're getting hit left, right and centre with Resident Evil at the moment, and I couldn't be happier. It's a blessed time, for sure.
It's a great time to be a fan. And
Yeah.
and especially, you know, like the survival horror wave that we're riding at the moment is in full swing. And if we get more Resident Evil content, the only thing, right, no matter how bad it gets, it can never be as bad as Welcome to Raccoon City. I think that's the low point.
Did you see my message the other day? They're threatening to continue that.
No.
Oh, please.
No.
They are with like a Leon Solo movie. They're threatening to do that.
Leon was fucking useless in that film. He was one of the worst parts of it.
Who knows? Who knows?
What do you mean? He's the
But-
one who had the RPG at the end.
Oh my god. Did he fall asleep in the center of Raccoon City?
He fell asleep. What? He fell asleep behind a desk when the fire zombie ran in.
Oh my god.
He wanted a Jill sandwich, mate.
The, yeah,
Oh
it's a
god.
Jill sandwich now.
What a terrible film. So it can't get worse than that. It just physically cannot. So
I'd love a sequel.
oh.
I bought that on 4K Blu-ray.
You're hating on Exoprimal and you bought that film.
It was very fun,
Oh my god,
which Exoprimal will not be.
your taste is just baffles. Absolutely.
I think I'm just a bigger Resident Evil fan, personally.
What a crazy
Jeez.
statement.
You said some wild things tonight, Spence, but that one.
That's pretty wild. Well, speaking of Resident Evil, I suppose we might as well end on the biggest news of them all. The Resident Evil 4 Chainsaw demo is out. Now, guys, are you interested in playing this? I know we all made a solemn vow that we would not consume any Resident Evil 4 content if we could help it. Have you gone against that vow? Have you played the demo? Or if not, are you planning on playing it?
For me, I have stayed true to the cause. I haven't downloaded it. I've got so many games at the moment. And I believe the way they sold it within this Spotlight event is that it's basically the start of the game anyway. So do I want to spoil it for me? It's not like it was Resident Evil 8 where we got like a unique demo which added to the story a little bit of background, right? And it was different. You did notice some kind of like aspects of the mansion where you were traversing through around all the blood and the wine, and it gave you a bit of story. That was interesting. But I think with this one, they've just given you a slice of the initial part of the game. So I'm going to stay strong. I don't want to see it. I don't want to play it. So I'm going to resist it.
I respect the mental fortitude there. I really do. What about yourself, Mr. Spence Davis?
Well, this is another reason why I ranked it so low. Because I've said I don't need more RE4. I've seen enough. I know I'm buying it day one. And they had the fucking audacity to spit in my face and say a demo's out today. I dare you not to fucking play it. Played it twice today. Fuck them, man. Fuck them.
Oh my god. Well, as you've already shared this, I played it twice that night. I literally watched the presentation, refreshed PlayStation Store about 100 times, downloaded it, captured my gameplay for the first playthrough, and then thought, I could do a bit better than that. And then did it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
So that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was really good.
Well, I suppose we might as well discuss it, right? Phil, have you got any questions, anything you want to kind of pose us about the game at all? I know that you're trying to stay media blackout, but is there anything that you kind of want to know, even just a little bit?
Okay, so we talked a lot about the chainsaw kind of bad guy, and we believe, or our assumption was, that he was going to be a persistent bad guy, a lot like the Nemesis or the Tyrant or Lady Demetrescu. Do you have a feeling that he's going to be that kind of bad guy after playing the demo, or do you get to defeat him?
Speaking for myself, on my 2 playthroughs, as much damage as I did to him didn't seem to matter. I always seemed to get up. I didn't get any reward for downing him for eternity or anything, and I was unloading shotguns into him, more melee attacks than I can ever care to consider. And yeah, he just seemed to just get right on up. And the demo, just so you know, ends with the start of 4 where the bell gets rung, and so all the villagers leave. So it's like a timed thing anyway, generally, and it's like how many enemies you beat or how long you can last, that kind of thing. So it's impossible to say really at this stage, but I certainly didn't kill him. What about you, Spence?
I definitely didn't kill him. My first playthrough, I accidentally went immediately into the house where the cutscene starts.
All right.
So I didn't actually have much time with it at all. I think I beat my first run in like 12 minutes. Very quick. And then the second one was more of me fucking about with the gameplay, the mechanics, the combat. And yeah, peppered the shit into him. Frag grenade on his toes. Fucking shotgun to the head. Stabbing him a bit. Just fucking straight back up. I was like, fucking hell. All he's got is a burlap bag on his head. And it's apparently it's the greatest armor anyone's ever seen. Don't know what's going on, but yeah, I could not kill him for the life of me, and I tried. So
I got some theories about this, Spence. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. But before you do, I'll just set the scene in terms of my thoughts coming out of this demo. I'm a bit worried about it, if I'm honest with you guys, because to me it's RE4, and I know that sounds insane to say. You know, I've just come off talking earlier on this podcast about how much I love Dead Space Remake because it's Dead Space but better. This is RE4 but better, and I don't want it to be that. It's very much a case of it's action orientated. I didn't feel a single shred of terror for that opening part, and people say that's the scary part. Enemies, they took a lot of shots.
Loads.
A lot of shots to put down. Don't take many kicks. And it turns out you could just shoot him in the leg or shoot him in the head and run up and melee him.
And that one melee knocks down 4 of them.
It fucking fucks. People get bodied by that. I don't know what he's been training in those legs, but they're fucking feet of fury. And he puts people down on the ground. There's a couple of quality of life changes that I picked up in this that I really enjoyed. So the crafting menu is really nice.
I hated it.
Did you? So what happens in this is that when you go, say for example, you've got a red herb and a green herb in your inventory, instead of going in there and clicking on the red herb and click combine and move the herb over, now what happens is you click on any item and it comes up with a craft option. Click on that and it shows you all the different combinations you could potentially have, and then lets you just click the ones that are highlighted for what you could make. So it kind of speeds up the crafting. I quite like that. How come we didn't like that?
So I love the original crafting system. I love knowing what you're making and dragging it into it. Whereas now, like with gunpowder specifically, you'd have to know what you're making because there's so many different concoctions on how to make different ammo. And now it's like, you tap the gunpowder, it's like you can make acid rounds, you can make flame rounds, you could make shotgun rounds, you can make pistol rounds, and you just press when you want, hold X. I like knowing the recipes and stuff, and it's just, that's taken away from you now.
Yeah, that kind of trying something,
the knowledge,
and seeing what
yeah.
happens. That's kind of gone. Yeah, I see that. I see that. For me, the thing about it is this game, as far as I'm concerned, is going to live or die by the knife. The knife is the biggest change to this entire thing. The way it works, Phil, basically, is that you've got a gauge above your knife, and that gauge gets depleted by stabbing people with a knife, so using it as a weapon, or using it as like a survival tool. So say, for example, you get grabbed by an enemy, you get 2 options come up. You can either press like R1, I think it is, or R2, whatever, and you use the knife just to stab them off. and you take very minimal damage by doing that, but it takes quite a large chunk out of your knife gauge. Or you can just mash out of that, but you'll take damage, like more damage, because it takes a while to mash out of that grab. So you got that choice. But the thing is with a knife, say for example somebody throws an axe at you, or they come at you with a rake, or anything like that, you could press L1 just before the attack hits, and you parry it. And it uses hardly any of the knife. Or if I didn't really notice any difference with parrying, I didn't notice any of my meter had been used. I found it really, really useful, and it was fun, and it felt great. And so this game is going to live or die by this knife management, in my personal view. Because I know for me and the way that I'd want to play, I'd quite happily take that damage so that my knife doesn't get used.
Yeah.
But if you get a knife every 5 minutes, what's the fucking point of you having a knife gauge? Because the thing is, if you knock somebody down, you get a little icon that you can go up and press R1 to stab them on the ground, and that will fully kill them, because otherwise they reincarnate and it takes more damage. It's like a brand new enemy again to take them down. So you got that choice then, don't you, between using the knife and using some of your resources, or shooting them.
Did you meet the shopkeeper? And what were you buying?
No, unfortunately not. So if this is staying true to RE4, and it looks very much like it is, then it would be a case that you'd meet him a little way down the road. We wouldn't meet him in this section. So he's coming later. His reveal is a little bit down the road. But in terms of the...
So you're not sure if you could buy the knives at the shopkeeper?
Yeah.
Yeah, not sure yet. That's what it's going to depend on, and I hope to God you really can't, or if you can, they're extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And,
I know there's two different types of knives
Okay.
we've seen. So there's like big knives, like I think the one you start with. Then there's like shit knives you can get.
Oh, right.
And the knives are just obviously smaller ones that deplete faster, probably do less damage.
Okay.
And those are probably the ones where if they jump you, you want to stab them in the head to get them off. And then the big knives are the ones you want to keep for when you need them.
Yeah. I mean, how did you find the whole knife mechanic? And I suppose that's the biggest difference between this and, say, Resident Evil 2.
I think it's broken. Whereas, yeah, the knife's just insanely busted. Especially when I started my first encounter going into the village, you can creep around the left. You just sneak behind them and just stab them, and it one-shots them.
Yeah, there's sneak attacks now in this, and you can press circle to go into like a stealth state, where you can crouch, walk, and get behind people to get the stealth kills.
Yeah, and that's what I did, and I got a stealth kill right away, which alerted the entire village. It's not very stealthy.
Oh, did it?
They all saw me.
Oh, I was fine doing mine.
Yeah, they all saw me, all of them. And I was like, fuck! And that's why I ran in the house right away. Shat myself. But yeah, it's just that knife, it seems insanely good. Way better than the gun. Way better than the gun, which is a bit worrying because you want to have to use the gun so that you're worried about your ammo. And if you're using a knife the whole time, it's going to get to the point that when you do run out of knives, you've got 50 shotgun rounds, you've got 120 pistol rounds, you've got a bloody RPG, and it's not going to matter. And then you use those until you get a knife again. I'm also concerned, but for combat reasons. I think the rest of it I'm quite happy with.
There's one thing I noticed in this straight away, and it's something that doesn't normally stand out. The haptics on movement felt amazing.
Yeah.
Did you feel like even when you're just walking along the road, you feel like the weight in the steps? And in terms of control, in terms of gameplay, felt gorgeous to play. Felt really slick. Even if it is just Resident Evil 4 again, it's going to be fun. You know, it's going to be fun. But it's just a bit of a shame that it might not be the dark, scary, put the fear of God into Resident Evil 4 that I wanted it to be.
Well, I'm sure all those questions and more will be answered on March 24th when the game comes out. And I'm going to be day one as much as I'm resisting this demo, but it does sound like a treat to go in and play some of these mechanics that are new to the series and see how things have changed. But I got one final question for you guys, and this one's going to be a difficult one because there's some tasty jewels at the end of this choice. So do you go standard edition with the attaché case gold and the charm of the handgun ammo? Or do you go down the deluxe edition route with the attaché case as the classic and you get the gold, and then you get a green herb charm as well as the handgun ammo? Which one are you choosing, guys? It's a tough choice, this one.
I don't know. Normal. I don't give a shit. I remember we got Village And with Village, we got all these extra bonus. And the charms actually give you benefits, don't they?
Yeah.
And I just didn't use any throughout the entire game. And I won't use any for RE4 either.
No.
And I could buy the deluxe version. The only thing that would ever sway me is a steelbook.
Well, speaking of, if you pre-order from Game, it's slightly more expensive than if you go through Game Collection or anything like that. They got a steelbook.
I went into Game and asked him if they were going to have a steelbook, and he said no.
No, they do.
I got
It's on there online.
I got a £50 gift card.
Yeah, I'm buying it from Game just for the steelbook.
Yeah.
I don't care what it comes with. Same answer as yourself, Spence. I don't give a fuck about any of these pre-orders. I'm not going to redeem them. They're going to sit there as an unused code in the box or on email. I'll just delete them. I don't care. I don't want it. I don't need any leg ups. This game already felt pretty easy. So I think it's going to be one of those ones, start on hard or hardcore. I think it's probably going to be the best way through on this, judged by what we've seen. And granted, it could be very different in the main game. They could have just thrown all this in there just so that people can get an idea of the combat.
That's the thing about this demo that we need to find out about. There's a hidden mode in the demo that they say on the screen when it pops up isn't in the full game. And it's called Mad Chainsaw Mode. And you just have to keep playing the game until it offers it to you. You can't choose to play it. It offers it to you. And if you choose yes, it just starts a run in this insane difficult mode. And if you say no, then it's gone and you have to hope it comes up again. You don't have a say in the matter. So one of us, you, I'd presume, just needs to farm this demo until it pops up.
I'm quite happy to do that.
Give it that a go. Because that will be your test with hardcore.
Okay. I'll give it a try and see what it is. The thing I want is I want harder parry timing. I want it to be
scary.
I want it to be scary. And I also I need to figure out how to properly dodge.
I couldn't dodge shit. I just parried.
Yeah, I parried everything. But there is a dodge mechanic. I need to figure out how that works.
I've pressed all the buttons. I couldn't figure it out unless it's your crouch.
It's L1. You just hold L1, but I think you move it in directions.
Oh.
I think that's how you can dodge grapples. But I need to check how it works. Because I did it once on accident. I was running, and someone swung at me with a rake, and Leon ducked out of the way.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, how did I do that? And never happened again. So I need to get that, so that's second nature. Because I think that kind of stuff, it's going to be a power fantasy, just like RE4 always was. And people say it's scary. It was just because it was your first go round on this merry-go-round of Resident Evil. It never has been frightening. And I don't think this is unfortunately going to follow suit. But
that's where I differ. I think it will be.
Ooh.
Just because of when you first enter the house, you go downstairs, it's dark as shit.
Ooh, we'll wait and watch this space. Mr. Hoy, which version are you going for? Are you going for that standard? Are you going for that deluxe? Are you going to get all those charms and lick them up and suckle on the teat of charms?
Well, it was a bit of a joke question to kind of finish this off, really, because none of these things mean anything to me. Much like yourself, they'll probably stay unused within the box. But I'm looking for a tasty steelbook if that's still on offer. But I know Resident Evil 4 is in high demand. We're never going to get a collector's edition. And even if we do, boy, you're going to pay for it. So I think steelbook would look nice up on my shelf. So if I can get one of those, I'm going to buy whatever version that is. So I'll be in with you. Let me know.
All right, I'll let you know down the road. Right, well, that brings this topic to a close. It's time to move it into the main event, the PlayStation VR Avengers. Trying to get an Avengers kind of thing going. Let's bring it on, topic 2. Hello and welcome back. This is topic 2. And we have been joined by a special guest. You have noticed that Mr. Hoy, Philip, is no longer with us. And that's because we're going to be discussing the wild world of PlayStation VR and VR in general. And as we know, Phil doesn't have a headset. He has no interest in getting one. So why keep the dead weight around? You know, that's what I'm thinking, Spence. We just bin him off and we've upgraded because we are being joined by Michael from NXG Gamer. And I just really want to just say thank you for joining us. It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be able to have you with us on the show. It's going to be a great old time today. And I suppose before we dive into anything, Michael, would you be able to tell the audience who you are, what you do?
No, that's great. That's a very dramatic entrance there, Dan. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Michael Thompson. I've got a YouTube channel called NX Gamer, which is effectively just technical analysis reviews And I've been running now for around 10 years, so I tend to just analyze games, platforms, PC, handhelds, retro stuff. I'm a little older in the tooth now in terms of my years on this planet, but it's a side project, something I do on top of my full-time job, and it's kind of become a hobby that has worked off in some areas. I work with IGN, I've done some work with Sony on the PlayStation for releases and reviews. So overall, it's been a good side project and something that I enjoy. I do as a hobby. So that's generally me.
Well, I tell you what, it's fantastic because I originally found you I was scrolling through just YouTube one day, as you do, you go down the rabbit hole, and I saw this review on there of PSVR2, and I thought, do you know what? I'll check it out. My headset's a few days away from coming. I'll have a little look. And like one of those moments where people, they met with like a crisis in life, and this light just shines down on them, and they see like God. It was like one of those kind of moments where I was like, holy hell. And I came away from watching your review and it was so impressive. And mostly because I'm the kind of guy, right, that if I've got to do anything on like a PC, say for example, I've got to just install a game, no matter what, I'll be that guy that encounters like every issue known to man. Like a plugin, a patch, even finding WASD on a keyboard. Sometimes even that's a bit too much for me. And so being able to get the kind of technical analysis that you provide in your content and for it to resonate with me and be like, oh, I understand this, I'm following along. You do an absolutely fantastic job over there. And of course, for the audience, the links to the YouTube channel will be in the description of the podcast. So please go along, have a look at Michael's content, and of course, chuck him a follow on Twitter. It will all be in the description. Well worth your time, honestly. Huge recommendation from myself and Spencer.
Oh man, that's very nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Like I say, it means a lot because it means that what I'm doing is coming across in my aims, which is making something that's useful and people then can make up their own minds. I'm not here to tell people what to think. I'm here to show them what's out there and they choose whether they like it or not. So I'm really glad it came across that way. Thank you. Probably a bit OTT as a feedback, but it's good to have somebody who actually enjoyed my stuff. And at least my review worked. It got one more subscriber. That's the point.
Well, that all helps, doesn't it? I know the YouTube game. I'm 2 years into my YouTube side hustle, and yeah, it's all a grind. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm an absolute potato with some of this. And so what we're going to be going into today, guys, is we're going to be discussing the PSVR2 and really kind of getting more of a deep dive, I suppose, on how you're finding the system at the moment, Michael. What kind of experiences you've had with it so far, any that you'd recommend as being some of the best on there. And then really talking about the future with VR in terms of where we see it going in terms of mass adoption or if it could potentially ever reach that. And talking through some of the things that Sony can do to support it in kind of the medium to long term, I suppose, to really find that the mass kind of appeal that it potentially could get. So I suppose the first thing to do is to throw it over to yourself, Michael, and just ask, in terms of your experiences in the VR space, can you talk us through some of your past experiences that you've had?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much not from the ground up, but I was playing VR when it first came out in the arcades in the 90s. So I had to go on the old virtual reality boxes that were just horrific, sick machines. You'd get into this big cubicle, you'd lift it up, you pay like, I think it was like £5, it was 3p, it was quite expensive. And you had this walk around this area, it was like a green grass area with a glove on, you could pick stuff up or you could fly this helicopter, I think it was. And oh my God, it was so slow. It didn't move with your head. It had terrible latency, and it made you generally feel quite ill quite quickly. And obviously, everything looked like it was running on the Commodore Amiga. It was just really, really bad. So that was when VR was like, it's going to work. I mean, even back then, they were saying it was going to come on the Mega Drive, but I was always a bit like, how's it going to work on the Mega Drive? And that never came out.
Yeah.
And then we've had a massive gap. I mean, VR kind of died off again. It got some traction, obviously, around that time, which was the second time, really. I think it had started back in the 70s, I think, originally. It was original prototypes for it. It might have even been the 60s, but then it kind of died off, and it really was John Carmack and Oculus and all that kind of brought it all back into the forefront again. So it was 2013, 2014, I think it was, when I got a PC VR headset and the Oculus One, whatever it was. Was it the Rift, the first one?
The Rift,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I had that first, and then I got a PSVR 1, and I played that for a bit. And then from then I got the Rift S. I think it was about 12 months after that came out, and then they moved to the Quest 2. So I've been playing VR properly since around 2013 to 2014. But it was always been quite slow adoption for me because it was always, I always see it as a little bit like the arcades back in the olden days when I used to go to the arcades. It was something you did on the side. You go out, you have a few quid, you had an hour to kill, you go and play some games, you go and play some Space Invaders or whatever the game might be, Double Dragon, Shinobi, games that I used to play a lot, Final Fight, certainly. And then that's how I see VR. But what's happened in the last few years has been a lot of really good, I would say almost proper games, in quotes, experiences, and not just that arcade, almost theme park rides that VR's always been. So you tend to go into a game and play it. And I think things like Astrobot on the first PSVR were a standout for that headset itself. Blood and Truth was a great title on that side, but also other titles such as Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx, obviously. And then with what we've got with PSVR2, it's all become very close to the same quality you would get, arguably, between the PS4 Pro and the PS5. So it's so close now in the quality of high-end PC market that now I think it's reached the level that it's fixed most of the issues. I won't go into the next part because we'll cover the subject you just mentioned, but most of the main issues with current headsets are resolved. I don't know if any of you guys use the PSVR 1, but as good as it was so limited in terms of what it did. And that's why I tended to move over more towards my Rift S, because it was just a better experience overall than the PSVR 1. Not that it wasn't good titles on the PSVR 1, but it was heavily compromised in terms of what was available on PC. And I think now with the PSVR 2, all that kind of marketplace has been completely evened out. And in some ways, the PSVR 2 leads, not in every way, but certainly in cost and certainly in ease of use. All of that is where PSVR 2 succeeds, in my opinion. Long answer, sorry.
No, that's great. It's great. And to be honest, I'm sure by this point in the show, the audience are absolutely sick to the back teeth of hearing myself and Spencer talk. So it's nice to have another voice on here. I mean, for myself, when it comes to VR, I'm very much like a noob to this whole space. Like I went to different conferences and things where I could try out like PSVR 1. And I remember trying it, and granted, I never gave it the proper chance because I was always trying it where I'm hung over to high hell from like a really savage night out. And then someone says, "Oh, do you want to go on Gran Turismo Sport?" You're thinking, well, to be fair, I'd quite like to just like lie in just like a bed of marshmallows or something, you know. I'm feeling a bit savage, but yeah, let's get whipped around the track in an F1 car or something, you know. And so I never quite had that kind of come to Jesus moment with VR. And I know for yourself, Spence, you've got a much more storied history, I suppose, with VR, especially compared to myself. So you had the Oculus, right?
I'm very much the middleman between you guys. Whereas, Michael, you've been doing it since 2015, 2014. Davey, you've started really now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle where I've had the Oculus Quest. I'm fuming as well. I bought the Oculus Quest 1 like a month before they announced the Quest 2. Couldn't believe it.
Oh,
Fuming. 400 quid as well. Full price. Couldn't stand it. And then I've played my friend's Rift S quite a lot as well, where I'd stay over, he'd go to work, and I'd just stay hungover and I'd just play on his Rift S the whole time. So I've played about with a few headsets, but yeah, I'm very much the middleman of you guys.
yeah. So it's this weird time for me right now that, you know, I put on the PSVR 2 and I wasn't sure really how I was going to adapt to it, you know, having to like get your VR legs and all that stuff. And I just found it really straightforward. I find it just, you know, just chuck it on as soon as you like kind of figure out where the sweet spot is, which was a bit of a learning experience. As soon as I got past that and just dived into Kayak VR, which is where the vast majority of my time has been with the PSVR 2, I just can't get off the goddamn game. It's just wowed me at every turn. And I'm coming away from it just thinking, you know, what a time to kind of dive into this ecosystem where it doesn't feel like kind of half measures between that and traditional 2D gaming, you know? I'm not sure about yourself, Michael, when it comes to the headset itself with the PSVR 2, what would you say are your kind of like the pros, and then you started mentioning in terms of like potential cons though with this. Do you want to kind of expand on that a little bit more in terms of what you feel you really like and what you dislike about the system?
Yeah, no, of course, and it's great to hear the difference of experiences for yourself and Stu in terms of where you got into VR, and that's that's really important, I think, for other people to listen to. VR legs, like you mentioned, is a big one because even at the start, I had those problems where you feel a bit. Certain games did it. Certainly, driving games I found really bad because I ride motorcycles on track and stuff, and I struggled most with those kind of games because my body wasn't giving me the experience that my head was, and therefore I instantly felt quite ill. But I managed to get over that over time. So I definitely get that, and I think that's one area where PSVR2 works really well because it's probably one of, and Stu can probably back me up or disagree in terms of it's one of the comfiest headsets you can wear in terms of the ergonomics. It's not just the weight; it's the balance of the weight. It's how comfortable it is getting on your head and off your head. I find the Rift S okay, but it lets a lot of light in. I find the cushion at the front can be quite heavy on your eyes, making you sweat a little more, which gets fogging. So that's one area where I think the PSVR2 does a really good job. I mean, it's got a very light level of air vacuum in it with the fan itself sucking air in to cool the CPU or the chipset on the board of the headset. And that sucks air through the helmet past your eyes and over the goggles. And that kind of reduces the fogging. I think that's one big area that the PSVR2 gets right. I think for a wired system, it's very, very simple. Although, to be fair, the Rift S and even the Vive are pretty good at that. Although the Vive's got a terribly expensive and cumbersome setup in terms of all the base stations you need. So I definitely prefer the inside-out tracking that the PSVR2's got. I think the sense crawlers are ace. I think they do a really good job. A little small sometimes. If you've got slightly bigger hands, you're catching your fingers and certainly my thumbs. I catch that a lot on the rim, but it's never too bad. I think that one of the biggest areas you touched on, which is always a problem for VR, unless you buy something like, and I have never bought one, but I have used one, which is the Quest Pro. Because of their pancake lenses, their lens, that is the big difference. It's not just the screen; it's the optics. And that's always a compromise. You're talking a £550 headset versus a, what is it, 1,200, 1,300 quid. It's a huge leap.
Ridiculous price.
And I think that's the compromise is that, as you say, you've got to get that sweet spot. And if you wear glasses, then that pushes the helmet further away, which means you get a smaller tunnel of vision. So I think that's the only problem. And these are hard things to fix. And I'm not saying that Sony could fix it, but I think one of the things around the PSVR 2 is certainly getting that sweet spot on your head, and it's around putting the helmet on first, fitting it slightly lower on your head, or certainly where your nose, you're sitting on your bridge of your nose, and then pulling the front screen into your eyes when you've got it balanced, and making sure you keep that dial moved, because sometimes that dial will move on its own and the IPD will move out.
Yeah,
it'll go blurry. So I think that's one area where I think everyone needs to improve in terms of how they do it. It'd be great with the eye tracking software on there if they could do some form of automated collaboration on the game itself. That would be great, because the eye tracking, although limited with LEDs and diodes around the actual screen itself, which is looking where your eyes gaze, I think that's a great feature. And that is really top-end feature, and that works great in a lot of games. I think that's one area where there's definitely a big improvement, making sure that people don't go in and jump out. Because I think one of the problems with VR is people expect the output screen you see in my videos and other people's videos, when you see the screen share, the social screen, it's really high quality, the graphics are really sharp and clean, but you need to really be rendering far higher than 4K to get the level of that quality in a helmet. So there is some level of reduction when you're outside of that sweet spot. And that's why people say things like, it's blurry, it's around the edges and all that kind of peripheral vision. But I think in some ways that is a problem that's only going to get fixed when you've got really expensive optics inside the helmet, like the Quest Pro. And that comes with a premium price. But what I hope is the PSVR 2 gets enough legs that maybe Sony decide to release a premium headset. There's no reason why they couldn't. The PS5 will run the same titles across both headsets. But if you've got the money and you want to go to a slightly better headset, or at least change the actual lenses themselves, or release a PSVR 3 at some point on the next generation consoles, all of that is around building the foundations that PSVR 2 needs to make sure the market's there for them to invest in it. So I think that's one area where I hope to see more and more growth in this market from Sony themselves, subsidizing companies to do it like they've done with Capcom, in terms of getting things like Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 on it. And then and I think there's a new one as well, the War Thunders game, which looks incredible. Can't wait to play that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm waffling a little bit, but I'm definitely excited about VR, because it's where I spend a lot of my time now, because I find it suits my game style more and more, because I go in, have 2 hours and come out, and that kind of works for me, rather than I haven't got the time to spend hours and hours playing a walk around an open world picking all shit up. That's not my stuff. Oops, sorry, I swore. Sorry.
You don't know, we swear
No
all the time.
swear.
No,
Just
yeah, we
swear,
swear all the
mate.
time. Yeah, just let it go. Let it go.
Anyway,
Drop the C-bomb
what
on
about
this
you guys in
episode.
terms of what did you find good and bad about the PSVR 2?
Well, I mean, coming in from an absolute noob, right? I definitely had that moment where I put the headset on. I thought, oh, it's not as clear as I thought it was from watching footage. I had that moment. And then as soon as I had that kind of realization, and especially from, rewatching your review and stuff after, you kind of get the understanding that actually it's never going to be that. But what it does do is you get a level of immersion that I had never experienced before. And especially I think diving into something like Kayak VR for the first time, where it does look really stunning, and there was just this smile that I just couldn't get off my face, where I was just like, holy hell. It kind of put me back, and this is a little bit weird to say, but for me, there was this moment in gaming where I realized that, oh my gosh, this is where things can move to. Whereas where I first played the tanker demo of Metal Gear Solid 2, right? And I just had this, and I was just like, I cannot believe this is real. That I've got this level of interactivity, that the glass is shattering when I shoot it, and, guards are reacting to everything I'm doing, and I can hold them up, and I can do all these extra little details. And it kind of just brought me straight back to that, because I was in there, and I remember I was in the kayak, right? And I'm holding the controllers, and I was just paddling the water just a little bit, and I was like, oh.
Watching it ripple.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, I can splash.
I can splash the water.
I can look around, I can see the back of my kayak. I can dunk my head under and see
There's
a
a fish
turtle.
under there.
Yeah, there's a whale coming up. All these little things that I'm sure if VR continues on this pace that's going on, the improvement that we've had from PSVR to now PSVR 2, a huge monumental change. On the same level as being a PS1 to a PS2 in terms of that kind of jump. I cannot wait to see what happens in this space, as time goes on and this tech becomes more affordable and it gets more adoption, so they don't have to worry so much about the price point. If the adoption grows so much, then you can make a lot of it back on back-end sales from games, right? And so you won't have to be as stringent on price. And if they could say, right, well, PSVR 3, they say it is on PS6 generation, so you're talking 6 years down the line or something. That is going to be, again, I reckon that the amount of lessons that they'll have taken from VR is still very, we're talking 10 years? It's been out, gaming in general has been going for 50 years now at this point. You're talking from the 70s. There's going to be so many lessons they'll learn from this generation that will only make the next generation just that much more superb, and that's what really gets me excited. Sorry, Michael, I've probably gone directly off from whatever your question was.
Pros and cons, mate. Pros and cons.
My pros and cons really, as it currently stands. Cons wise, the only one that I've got is the wire. The wire does do my head in.
Yeah, but compare that to PSVR 1.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. I mean,
the only
worlds
thing you'll
apart.
have, everything has that except the Quest at the minute, or crappy iPhone, stick it in your VR.
Oh, they're terrible.
Those little things. But after coming from the Quest, which was my main headset before this, the wire is annoying. It is annoying, but for the fidelity we get and the quality we get and the way it works, we need a wire. If we can somehow get that wireless, which I know the patents before this was released were saying it might be wireless. No way. It's too good. I feel like it's going to be a long time before we get this kind of fidelity wireless, especially if it's syncing with your PlayStation or your PC.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, that's the only real con that I've got with it as it currently stands. I think now that I've got the sweet spot nailed, to get it every time, no issues at all. Honestly, I'm blown away by every experience
I've got cons.
I know you do. You got a few. Do you want to lay them on me, Spence?
I got a few cons. Like you said earlier, Michael, this is an extremely comfortable helmet. Very comfortable. However, that dial on the back of the head, which is mega useful, mega practical. I'm playing games in the theater mode, the playthrough mode, where you're playing 2D games rather than VR games. And I'm led in bed. And that little dial is just meaning you're led like this.
Like a turtle.
Like a turtle, your head just tucked forward. And it's just stabbing you in the back of the head. And I'm like, I can't just lay down and play a game. You can, but it's not comfortable.
Have you tried lying on your face?
On front of the VR?
Yeah, like into the pillow. Have you tried
That
that
ain't
yet?
happening. Absolutely
Don't
not.
think so?
No, not a chance. You'd be like, yes.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd work your hands either.
No, you
You know,
couldn't do
just-
anything.
Just like this.
It'd have to be behind your back.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. So that dial, as much as I think it's genius, I think it's a fantastic way to fasten it to your head. It's bugging me because of the way I play the games, or the way I play my other games, because my situation kind of depends on it at the minute. The other con I have, which I think you will both disagree with, is I'm not a massive fan of the controller.
Ooh. Why?
Yeah.
Because I've used the Quest controller. I think the Quest controller is just better. Other than the battery panel slides off, I think it's a better controller. Whereas the grip button, for us on PSVR2, is just a button, which works. But on the Quest, it's like an actual trigger, which, depending on how far you push down, depends on how far your hand goes down in the game. For some reason, it just feels off balance to me as well, the Sense controller. It feels like it tries to lean in on itself when you're holding it. It might just be me being weird with it, but that's what I feel with the controller.
I agree to some extent. Yeah, I agree with that, because it in the sense of, if you've come from that controller, it feels similar enough to not feel the same. So you've probably got a bit of muscle memory going on as well there, in terms of what you're used to using on that.
Yeah.
But I agree about the triggers. It's the R1, isn't it, on the inside trigger for gripping?
The R1,
Yeah,
yeah.
I always find that quite tight. It's like the DualSense Edge controller as well, where the back paddles, because of where my hands are the size of my fingers, I find that when you put it right to the back, I'm almost like curling my hands around to grip it. I would have preferred to have that button further at the front, like a trigger, like you say it is on the Quest, or have the whole actual pad itself be context sensitive. So when you touch it, it takes that as a press rather than actually having a button on it. So
Yeah.
it feels like you're gripping things, because for example, I've dropped things in Resident Evil Village because I keep forgetting to not let go of that trigger. So I'll hold on to something and then let R1 go, and I think, oh bugger, I've dropped my gun. So yeah, I do
Yeah.
agree with that, definitely, to some extent. It could be better. It's good, but it's probably not as good as other controllers. I think I've used the Vive Index. I think that's pretty good as well. The Knuckles, they're called. That's pretty good controller as well in some ways. In some ways, it's better at tracking your whole body movement, but that's obviously because it's got the base stations. I use that in a show somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you ever use one of them, if you use one,
I haven't used one,
Yeah,
but
that
I know they're good. I know the way the tracking works. They have those kind of towers in the corners, don't they, to track everything. So even if your arm's behind you, it knows.
Yeah, and that's just bringing it to one more con, which is, it can't be out. It happens to me on the Rift all the time. Rift S is you bring your head, you look down or you look up, and it loses your hands for a second, and that happens on the PSVR2 as well. You sometimes like reach into your belt buckle, because your head's slightly up looking at what you're looking at. Your hand gets lost and it doesn't grab what you want. And then you look down, and then somebody comes and hits you, and it's like, oh, annoying, I've lost because it didn't track my hands. So there's minor hiccups like that, which I think are all areas definitely need to be improved. But yeah, like you say, it's the sense control is good. It's not the best on the market, but again, like most things, it is a compromise. So it does a good enough job, in my opinion. But yeah, totally agree with your comments.
In fact, you got me thinking now, both of you. The other issue I have, and this has been happening quite a lot lately, I'm not sure why, I'll randomly just be playing, and then it would just lose itself, like the entire thing. And it would be like, it would say, oh, we've lost the play space. We need to reset your play space. Do you ever get that happen? I've had that happen quite a few times now, where I've just been playing, just kayaking along, not having a care in the world, looking at a penguin, and the next thing, it's just like, it just takes me back out to reset up my play area. And I've had that, and it's apparently it's the lighting.
Yeah.
But then I've turned the lighting up to like top, like opened every curtain. It's like, it's bright as hell. You know, it's like that room in the Matrix. You know, when he goes and see that Oracle, just white everywhere. It's like that. And I'm like, well, how are you losing this? And then I'll unplug it, plug it back in, recalibrate everything, and then it's fine again. And I've had that happen a few different times, mostly during Kayak VR. Have you encountered anything like that, Michael?
I've not had to that level, but I've definitely had it where I start playing when the lights are off, the curtains are open, and then it gets dark outside, and then halfway through a game it will say that, and I think, what? And I'll take my hammer off and realise, oh yeah, it's got dark in my room, flip my lights back on, and then just look around my room so it goes, now I've found your play space again, and then go back into the game. I tended to find that if you create a temporary play space, I don't know if you've got one on there, but if you create a temporary play space, I did have a few issues at the start where it kept telling me, am I sitting or am I standing, and going back to that screen. So I don't use a temporary play space anymore. I just stick to my fixed one. So I don't know if that's another thing.
That's probably my issue then. That's probably my issue, because I generally just, I'm changing it all the time depending on what I'm playing. And I just normally just do temporary ones. I quite like that I quite like that scanning. I don't know what it is. I find it quite satisfying, like that kind of bat sense sonar. Yeah. Feels like I'm playing Batman, like detective vision, but in my own room. I'm like, oh, find it quite novel. So it could well be my own fault on this. Could well be user error, definitely.
I mean, it might not be. Like I say, there's always going to be these kind of fables in terms of VR, and I think every single headset has a collection of it. I mean, one of my pet peeves on the Rift S is the fact that it's one of the big benefits I find of PSVR2 is you can reset yourself at any point in a game by just holding down the start button, and it flicks you back to the middle of the screen. Yeah, the Rift S does my nutting, because you create a space and then you always have to go and stand in the middle of the room because the whole game is orientated around that one single space. Otherwise, you have to keep resetting your room to get back to that in the middle of where you move. So like you just said, if I use it and I've got a chair and I'm sitting in the chair, and then later on I stand up and move to the left of my chair, it constantly has me slightly left of my center of the room, which bugs the hell out of me. And I've never found a way to do it quickly like you can on the PSVR2. Unless, of course, Stu, you know how to do it. I've never found it myself.
I've no idea. I know the Quest is pretty good for it. The Quest has the kind of, you can hold the button.
Does it?
And it just reorientates you. But the Rift, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it doesn't. I've never found it, but it bugs the hell out of me because if you move your room around like you've just said, you're always slightly skew of where it's putting your feet. You know that when you set the whole thing up, it has that little marker where your feet footprints go, that part, and it just bugs me. Whereas I like the fact that on the PSVR you can just hold the start button down, it just recenters it, which is good that the Quest 2 does it as well. Well, the Quest in your case, don't you?
Yeah.
I do find that hella useful, gotta say, because I'm definitely one of those ones where I've just been getting, especially when I'm like climbing around in Call of the Mountain or anything like that, often lose track of where I am, and I'm facing just the other wall, all of a sudden. I've done that quite a lot of times, and then and so I do find that useful then when I put pass remote back on. Oh god, I'm over here now. Yeah, I'm next door. Oh god. So I mean, we've gone through kind of the opinions on the headset itself. I mean, when it comes to the games, what would you say so far has been the standout experience for yourself when it comes to this headset? What would be the game that you'd show off to somebody to say, like, right, this is what this headset can do? What do you think, Mike?
I think it depends on what you want to show off, like your aims of showing it off. In terms of immersion, there's been quite a few. Really silly game, but Townsman VR is a big Populous fan as a teenager. I love that game, and there's a lot of potential in that whole strategy genre that I just feel is brilliant in VR. It's on another level. The graphics aren't great. It's not the best. It's a good 120 hertz native screen, so it looks nice and smooth and clean. It's pretty high resolution. But being able to just, scale around a little island, pick up little people, get them to work, and just move people around, it's so engaging in terms of that strategy element, watching your generals get killed and getting annoyed because you've lost the battle. There's just so much there that I think, and a lot of the comments on my review of it said things like black and white, which I think would be great in VR, and many other games that I think would work. Strategy titles overall would just be incredible in VR. So I think that's a good one to show somebody who's never been into VR why it works, because you get this entire world of just playing around. It's right in front of you, and you can just be right up close, right down to the macro level, and right back up to the cloud. So I love that. I think that's great. The other one I think is you got to say GT7. If you don't like driving games, it's incredibly good to just go into GT7. The clarity that the game offers, all of the cars, all of the modes, and just racing around a track that you recognise well is just incredible. So there's a few tracks on there that I've been on in real life, and I just love the fact that it feels like you're at it doesn't look real lifelike in terms of everything convinces you it's there, but in the middle of a race, it does enough to feel like you're battling out, in the middle of a 12-car packed grid around Brands Hatch, for example, is an incredible experience. And I think driving games and flying games as a whole, spaceships, all that kind of stuff, they rock in terms of VR, because it's just things that feel way beyond anything you can get in a 2D screen. And then just for general games, I'm loving Resident Evil Village. I've finished the game anyway. I'm a big fan of it, but I think the whole updates they've made to it, there's definitely issues in terms of the hand tracking, the limited movement on your fingers, and it certainly doesn't track as well as other titles like Call of the Mountain. There's definitely areas there that they can improve, but that is an incredible game to just show off the visual quality and certainly the quality of the headset itself, the OLED screen. There's parts in it, I don't know if you guys have played it, but when you're indoors and it's dark, you're inside for ages, it's really black and it's really bleak. And then you walk outside into the snow, it's actually so bright, you squint because the screen's so bright in your eyes. And that is a great experience in a VR title because then you have to go, oh shit, I'm in the game. I'm not actually walking out of this castle being chased by this 20-foot woman. So it's incredible. I love that
wish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and me, huge fan of RE8, and that's one of the titles that I'm surprised I haven't got round to playing yet. Most of my channel, for my personal channel, is survival horror related, so I've reviewed all the REs, and hell, on this podcast, outside of this topic, we generally have a rule. We're not even allowed to mention the name of Resident Evil because we talked about it too much in our first early 20 episode run. Yeah. So now it's just the game that can't be mentioned. Otherwise, if whoever says it has to take a shot on the show, so it becomes like an absolute. It's a minefield for Resident Evil, but we absolutely adore it. I know that you've played a bit of RE8, haven't you? On that, you've done the demo, right?
Yeah, I haven't played the actual main game yet. I just opened up the demo because it was a fast download. I just got my new PSVR. I want to just play about with it, and I'm a big Resident Evil fan as well, obviously. But I got in a demo and controlled really well. Tracking, like you said, tracking could be better. But the demo, the thing is, with Village, I've played Village, so I know what to expect. In the demo, it shows you how to use your flashlight, and then the lights go off, and it says turn the power on. And I was like, fuck that. Hell no. Headset came straight off. I was like, I'm going to go about in my kayak, thank you very much. Fuck this. I haven't played it again, and I won't.
Oh my god. I mean, this is the thing. I'm desperate to get to it. For me, the best experience so far I've had, hands down, is Gran Turismo 7. Like you were saying, it's not a case of you feel, it's akin to real life. But in terms of the level of immersion, it was unparalleled for me. And this is the thing that's quite novel, is that I'm not a racing sim guy. I'm really not. I've never been interested in them. And I picked it up kind of on a whim, and that's been it. I've now got a wheel, I've got a little sim thing that I'm sitting in. And I'm just finding it so immersive. And I find that I'm actually way better at driving in VR than I am on a 2D screen. I can judge distance a lot better. I'm a lot more aware. I think because it feels like I'm actually driving to a certain extent, I'm just naturally just a little bit better than I am on a 2D plane. And I find that to be just amazing for me. And apart from that, Pavlov's been great as well. Like you were talking about how, dropping guns and stuff, when it comes to the hand tracking and, and the R1. Oh my God, Pavlov, I can barely hold the damn thing. I'm dropping the gun everywhere. I'm getting mixed up which hand I'm holding it in. I'm making all these mistakes, but I'm having such a fun time in doing it and learning how to properly use the sense controllers and having this multiplayer FPS action, and that's been a hell of an experience for me. I think those my two standouts.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely Pavlov is up there. But then, like you guys are saying, Gran Turismo, man. I don't even have the game yet. But last night, before we started recording, you let me have a go on yours. Insane. And then you were in work today, so I had nothing to do. So what do you think I did? I played Gran Turismo for 3 hours.
Get me any trophies?
I did. I got
let's go.
200 miles, whatever it was.
What, you did 200 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Which car did you do it in? My GTO?
In a Camaro, I think.
Oh, my Camaro. But I haven't even driven my Camaro. It's been...
Kudos,
you soiled
man.
it. It's no longer a virgin.
Yeah. But I got first on all the races, on all the championship, or the circuit races, every single one.
Nice.
Yeah, it's sick. And there was one point, we're talking, it's not real, right? But the immersion's there. I fucked it. And I spun out. And as I went into a wall, in real life, I went... I recoiled. I was ready to die. And then I crashed and I was like, oh yeah.
Pulled the Bible out.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. It's a game. Fine. I was so invested in it. And the whole setup you can have with Gran Turismo, where you have the wheel, the pedals, the VR, it feels like you're driving. And
Mm.
it's terrifying, but great. Fantastic. And then there's other games, obviously that's a rare case, but that's very much one you could show off. And as soon as you get in there, I think there's just a smile that goes on your face. Because you're like, this is cool. This is very cool.
And I think like what you were saying right at the start of this, Michael, in terms of that kind of like arcade-like experience, it is very much like that to a certain extent. Because even though it's a full game and everything else, having that kind of racing sim, that like whole kind of cockpit thing that you're in like an arcade game, or being on like a playing like a motorbike game where you're leaning on the bike and all this stuff. Those kind of experiences, whenever I think of the arcade, my mind always goes back to that. And so to be able to have that kind of, like an upgraded version of that you'd never be able to get in the arcade at home is so class and so novel. And for me, that novelty certainly hasn't worn off. And I've been putting quite a few goddamn hours into GT now at this point. Moving away from the games that we really recommend, I want to look about the future when it comes to this technology. Now, with PlayStation, obviously, we got a whole host of different studios and support studios now, and they got to have that awkward moment now where they got to be able to balance what they're doing on the VR front and what they're doing on just the PS5 front. And I guess that, yes, they could create a game and have it so that it's got the VR optimization there. But in terms of like system sellers and being able to put something out there and say, this is the reason why you need to have a VR headset, rather than it just being that additive experience. Can you think of any franchises from PlayStation's back catalogue? Hell, it could be as old as you want. We can go back to Colony Wars if you want to for PS1. Anything that you could think that PlayStation could bring to the party here to really show off this technology? Is there any franchises that come to mind? Michael, I don't know if you want to go first on this.
Well, no. Well, why don't you guys go first? I'll go last. I'll make it fair. Yeah, you guys go first. Anything you've got in your head?
Sure. Well, I mean, for me, the first one that comes to mind straight away is SOCOM. I think that we don't have any kind of tactical shooters, like proper tactical shooters. Sure, there's that new one that's on the way. Is it Firestorm?
Firewall Ultra.
Firewall Ultra. Yeah,
I love that game.
And I mean. And so that's coming. I suppose that kind of fills that niche. But for me, whenever I think of the franchises for Sony, you've got the ones that I'm desperate to see return are Killzone, Resistance, and SOCOM. And I think, well, Resistance and Killzone, would I like them in VR? No, not really. I'd like it to be a 2D experience and then maybe a VR mode, right? Like they had for Killzone 3, you could have the move attachment, you could play that way. Yeah. And that was cool, that was great, it was quite novel. But in terms of, having a full FPS sweaty lobby, I don't know if I'd want that experience in VR. But having a tactical shooter, it's a little bit slower. You're working around the map and maybe having like 4v4 teams. I think it'd be a perfect fit. And it would be a great way to be able to bring back a franchise which has been on ice since the PlayStation 3 generation. And so for me, that's where my mind immediately goes. I don't know where your head's at, Spence.
I have no idea. I'm trying to think of what it could be. I'm a lot younger, you guys. I'm not sure what IPs are even dead. What the games I'm thinking immediately, I don't even know if there's Sony games. Turok?
Turok's no. That was originally Activision. God knows who that's
yeah, but that'd be sick.
Would. Yeah.
Just giant dinosaurs, man.
Yeah, it would be cool.
It'd be cool as hell.
Cerebral Bore. What a great gun that was. Do you remember that?
No idea.
It's this gun that would just basically drill out someone's brain. It was wild.
It was you ever seen
Cerebral
Phantasm? Horror film Phantasm. That's what it's based on. There's a horror film called Phantasm, and in that there's like a cerebral ball. It's a little metal ball, and it used to kill people by throwing it. It'd fly in, it'd stick into their head, and it'll drill through their head and squirt out the blood and brains. That's what it's based on. It comes from that film Phantasm. Again, I'm an old man, so it's not old 80s horror film.
I had no idea about that. That's cool. Going on the list tonight.
For me, there's quite a few that I definitely Killzone. I think Killzone would work great in VR, as you just said. I think that's a title that could be reinvigorated in VR. But also that the Firewall title was one of the standout games on PSVR for me. That's a tactical online, multiple people, everyone talking tactics. That is so good. If you ever played Firewall, it's such a good game. So I've got high expectations for the sequel on the PSVR 2 because I think having the ability of dynamic light sources, breaking through walls, blowing holes, the kind of dynamic construction that things like Red Faction had, but in a VR space,
Yeah.
could be off the charts. If you could like plant C4, blow a hole through a wall, tactically drop through, shoot people, Rainbow Six, that kind of game, but in VR, I think that's going to be a huge market for Sony and anyone really to jump into. But going back, I think a game like, if anyone remembers it, Warhawk. I loved Warhawk on the PS3. I thought it was a great little game.
Yeah, I remember.
And I think that would kind of be a great one to bring back because it would enable you to fly, drive tanks, and run around on foot, which is kind of gives you everything. It would give you that whole experience of being in a squad of an army going out in a tactical shooter. You could have a pretty decent, robust campaign, and then obviously put it online with combat. I think that would be great. And then one of the weird ones I've said before, and I think a lot of people think, what? But I loved The Getaway and The Getaway 2. I thought they were great titles. Can you
great
imagine that in
games.
VR? Just being able to have this view of a limited area of London or wherever it might be, and just being able to go around, get in a car, shoot up shops, go in and out of places, even just going and buy a burger, just having that ability of just living this story, but in a city where you could nick a car, jump in any car, drive around. But in VR, I think that would be incredible. And I'm hopeful that the team that made Blood and Truth, so Sony Soho Studios, that they're meant to be working on something at the moment, and I'm hoping it's that. I really do hope it's that. Blood and Truth kind of has that feel of The Getaway as a step, toe in the water. It's very limited. It's very controlled in terms of your movement because of the hardware it was on. But I think there's definite opportunity there to bring that back. And then, as you said, tactical games. I think there's so many tactical games that I think would be great in VR that they could bring back. So there's a few. There's not anything that I think desperately needs it, but I would love to see some of those brought into the VR space. But I think the big area for it is to try and get as many games with a VR mode as possible, whether it's the full game or whether it's a limited selection of a game. So that's one area where I think Sony need to, and they will be. They've been doing it already. They'll subsidize it in terms of getting companies to do it, because I think that's where the uptake will be. People will struggle to buy a game in VR if it's just a VR game, but they'll happily pay £7, £10 for a DLC that adds a VR mode if they get popular enough. And I think that's something that could be a market for Sony to build the space of the PSVR2. So they've got a huge back catalogue to pick from. So fingers crossed they can find something that I haven't thought of. I'm sure they will.
Well, I mean, so some other things, and especially with like you're mentioning like the PSVR 1 titles, right? The ones, obviously we've had a couple come back now. We've got Moss 1 and 2. Astrobot, I really hope comes back, because I haven't played it. Blood and Truth, I haven't played it. And the one that I'm really down on my knees praying to the pantheon of gods up above that I really want to come back, Wipeout.
That's what you
I
want.
really want Wipeout. I know the Wipeout, they had a VR mode for PSVR 1 as far as I'm aware, unless I'm remembering that wrong.
Yeah, they did. It's great.
Oh, see that come back on PS5 level graphics just to get another gloss of paint over it, even if it is still the same Wipeout HD that I know and love. That again in VR would be insane.
You got your wheel now as well. You'd be like, fuck.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh my god, that would be so good. That kind of thing for me would be great. Or just take it back PS1, get Colony Wars on it, get a nice space shooter.
I think I know what I want now. I think I've had my time.
Oh, go on.
Do you know what the one thing that PlayStation's lacking?
What?
It's their own version of a Beat Saber or a Pistol Whip or a Just Dance per se. And what could they use? Parappa the Rapper.
Oh man, good shout. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's what I reckon. I think that'd be sick. I don't know how the hell it would work in PSVR unless you just dance to the music or the rhythm, the grind, But I don't know.
Hey, there's a mic in the little speakers on the headset, right?
What I sing, yeah.
So you could do it. You could do it. There was a game on PS3, right? There was you remember when there was all those musical games that were coming out, and you had like the rock bands and all that. Well, there was a rapping one that I bought when I was like 18. I thought, oh yeah, this would be great. Turns out that nobody in the family really likes rap music, so it was just me on my own playing it on my own in a room singing a bit of Flavor Flav to myself.
That's crazy.
And but hell, that worked using like a SingStar mic. You could definitely do a similar thing with Papa the Rapper if you were rapping along.
Could do, definitely could. But what I'd like to, it's not a dead IP, which is the issue. But I'd love to see like a Last of Us VR. Where maybe what I have in mind is like a cinematic experience rather than actual VR thing, where maybe Ellie's come through, killed everyone you love, and you're the survivor, or something like that.
That's good.
You know, you're on the other side.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're one of the raiders or whatever, but you're a pussy. And Ellie's come in and killed everyone. Who's your friends, your family, and you just have to stealth and try and survive.
Would you have it in first person then?
It'd be VR, yeah.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. You just watch Ellie wipe out everyone you love. And
Oh,
whilst you're like,
Cowering in the corner.
yeah,
And then you get
Yeah.
revenge. That'd be good.
Piss.
Yeah, that would be good
I think
actually.
that'd be sick.
That would be a fun little one. That would be well, it'd be haunting as hell.
Yeah, it'd be terrifying.
Yeah, it'd be awful. Yeah, but it'd be good.
Yeah.
It'd be good, and you could have the bow.
No, it's a stealth game. You can't do anything.
Oh.
Unless you can, like, all you could do is throw bottles and bricks to distract
Oh my god!
and try and lead her away from you.
Well, it's like kind of an Outlast situation or something.
You're just trying to survive, mate. You've seen what she can do to your friends and family, and you're like, nope, not me.
So it's got niche appeal, but hey, why the hell not?
Stealth game, VR stealth game. I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Be terrifying.
Yeah.
Can you another one I thought of is Shadow of the Colossus. That would be incredible in VR.
Oh,
Climbing up
That would
those behemoths and just having to
your
battle
poor
them.
arms.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. That would be such a good VR game because it would kind of meet all of the requirements in terms of an experience that you just couldn't get anywhere else. Plus, it'd be a bit of a workout because that'd be a hell of a climb.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be a monster.
You have
of
to
a
be
climb.
whipping your horse behind you, getting up to speed.
Agro. Yes, I'm so in for that.
You've also taught me to get that Pavlov. I've heard so much about it. Is it Pavlov? What's it called? Pavlov?
Pavlov.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only 20 quid.
Yeah, no, I need to get it. I've got so many games. I need to buy it, and I haven't played it yet, but I have heard so many good things about it. So you just going back to what you guys said earlier. I'm going to buy that I think today and have a go at it tomorrow and be blown away, shooting people in the face.
You will.
It's great, and it's one of those things where you can just have a proper laugh because you could just mess with each other. So before the round starts, you're all together. And all it was just me and Spence just taking each other's magazines out of the guns and then all just holding back each other's firing pins when you're in the middle of a fight just to really just mess with each other. And you could have so much fun with that kind of interactivity and messing with each other. And especially with the with the voice chat, would be in proximity chat.
Yeah.
Because somebody gets the flank on you and they'll just whisper into your ear, behind you. And you turn around, bang!
Bang.
And it's just frightening, and people will just drop their gun, put their hand up, don't do it. They're like, turn around, dance for me. Boom.
Quality.
Great.
Sounds good.
It's class.
Sounds good. And that's it. At the end of the day, that's what games are all about. But above everything, it's about being fun. And that's why I still love games, because it's fun. Because it's not fun, there's no point in playing it, in my opinion. So that's great to hear, guys. It's really, really good.
Yeah, it is. Ultimately, that a game is there for kind of escapism to a certain extent, but fun. Fun's got to be the main priority, doesn't it? At the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's not
it's for
fun, why'd
me
you bother
anyway.
doing it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Escapism
Yeah.
and fun. Yeah.
As long as it helps us cope with the crushing weight of
Everything
9
else,
to
yeah.
5 and,
Yeah.
and a family and everything else. That's all it needs to do. Right. Well, I think that kind of brings everything for this to a close. Is there anything, Michael, that you want to go through? Is there anything more that you want to talk about, or anything else?
No, guys, I'm just very, very thankful you invited me on. It's been a great podcast. It's been a great little open, easy chat. I've enjoyed it. So thank you for inviting me and sharing me on. And hopefully we can chat again later. If not on here, maybe in Pavlov Online.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, let's get some time in Pavlov Online.
man.
You will be carrying me so hard because I am shockingly bad at it. But, I can take the bullets for you guys. I'll jump in front of the snipers for you. I'll do that because that's how much I really enjoy being a team player. I'll lay down. I'll do the Captain America. I'll jump on the grenade.
You shot me 3 times and stabbed me. You're not a team player. You stood behind me saying, guys, how'd you stab with the knife? I couldn't believe it. You turn around, he's like this to me.
Really? I love the
Yeah,
fact that
he's
you
trying
can
to
reach
stab
in and stop other people's firing pins going off. So it's very tactile. Then I love that's what I'm really loving about games at the moment. Yeah, that's good. That is good. I'm excited. So yeah, looking forward to playing that. I'll definitely ping you an invite, or you can jump on my gamer tag and we'll play online. So yeah, that'd be good. I'll pick it up tomorrow.
Sounds like a date. Sounds like a date. I look forward to that. But Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Just to close the show, where can people find you? Not in real life.
Yeah, you can't. I hide in the shadows to the left. You can find me on Twitter, which is at NXG. So it's N_X_G. I didn't think about that at the time. It's a right annoying one. And then on YouTube, it's probably the most important one, which is just NX Gamer. So YouTube/NX Gamer. That's me. So go and check me out over there. Hopefully, I'll try and mix up technology and reviews with a bit of fun and a bit of humor as well. But yeah, that's what I like to do, along with playing as much as I can, where I can. Thanks for having me. I do appreciate it, guys. It's been good.
Honestly, it's been an absolute privilege and a pleasure to have you on. And of course, you're welcome back at any point. So if there's anything you want to come on, just gas about with VR or anything of that nature, the door is always open. Thank you ever so much. Now, this has been episode 64 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. I've been Davey.
I've been Spence.
And Phil is in the bin where he belongs. Take care, guys. In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.